Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a 737 pilot and a member of PMDG's tech team. So, for today's livestream, let's have a look at the new Boeing 737 update that PMDG has just released. And the plan today, since, well, many of you have already guessed where I'm working, so I will just take it right from there. Let's do a flight that I've done multiple times already in real life, which is from Cologne to Milan Bergamo and then back towards Cologne. I have set up a flight plan that is pretty close to the plans that we are using in real life, so let's have a look into the flight plan first of all. Now, before we actually gonna start do that, let's quickly talk about what is actually new with the latest 737 update. So, the main focus on it has been on the autoflight system, and there has been quite a lot of changes in there, with the primary runs definitely being in the pitch stability, some of the roll channel, and the auto throttle. Now, I'm sure many of you are coming from Flight Deck to Sims Excellence stream, who just did a very nice landing in Split, so if you haven't seen that one, definitely watch it in the replay, and thanks for coming here. Just had to say that, sorry my friends. So, what are we gonna do then? We are gonna put the autopilot to test, and that approach to Milan Bergamo definitely is the right place to do that. And I'm also going to experiment a little bit with GSX today, and I'll also show you some of the small things that have changed in the autopilot and some of the things that you might probably not even come across because you didn't notice it. There will also be an interesting experiment in there, but we'll get towards that in a few moments. Alright, so let's have a look into our flight plan then. We're gonna fly from Cologne to Bergamo, and let's see if the thing is actually gonna work. Yes, it does. Very good. So this is what our flight plan is looking like for today. We are flying the Ryanair 4X Remike from Cologne to Bergamo. Planned at flight level 370, we have a rather high zero fuel weight here, 58.5, that indicates pretty much a fully booked aircraft. We are using a standard routing, Cologne Bergamo 01, and that is pretty much exactly the route that we are using in real life for that flight. Now let's have a look into some of the weather that we're expecting and into the NOTAMs at our destination. So, Bergamo is reporting 5,000 meters visibility Broom, scattered 1,000, broken 7,000, 15 degrees 1016. Forecast is a little bit of rain that's going through in the evening. That is probably going to affect our arrival time. And the wind's going to 100 degrees at 10 knots. Now that might just about make a landing on runway 28 possible. But we can see that the actual wind is already in the region of 150 degrees at 3 knots. So that is gonna be an interesting approach with a little bit of tailwind in there, so that is gonna be interesting. So, thank you to everyone who has joined there, and Tripcord, Amy, you're playing with a fire here if the auto throttle bug kicks in. Yeah, you name it, but you know what? I'm actually trying to provoke it, because I want to see if I can recreate it, and I don't have all that much time available at the moment. So, if I can recreate it on a live stream and in a bug report, that's still better than not having a bug report at all, right? But well, that's that part. Let's have a quick look into the NOTAMs as well. Cologne, Bonn is a couple of nav 8s in up and runway closure, but that's all really not that interesting for us. Having a look into Bergamo, that's really what's interesting for us. We have a star NOTAM on standard instrument arrival from Friday through Sunday, so that doesn't affect us either. So no NOTAMs for us. In other words, I see absolutely nothing that would prevent us from using standard fuel, which is going to be 6 tons for today's flight. Let's try to jump into the airplane then. And something I'm going to try today, for probably the first time, is to play the game of GSX. Now, what do I mean with that? Basically, when we click on the boarding tab in GSX, that is when the crew starts to board the airplane. Now, let's try to take it from there and get our crew on board, and only once the crew is on board, we'll try and start our pre-flight procedures. Let's see if we can get things done fast enough so that GSX only gives us the passengers by the time that we are ready for them. So that's going to be quite a bit of a challenge here. Now, I'll have a more expanded video on that one available in the future, but for now, let's take it from here. So GSX, request boarding.
Boarding requested.
And we'll take handling by visa, just like in real life. For the airport, I downloaded a profile from flightsim.to that resembles the real Cologne Bond a bit more closely, and that's the case for engineering. Good job, GSX. Come on, it's just been a couple seconds. Anyway, so we should have the passengers actually walking on the airplane. So,
Pilot's boarding starting.
That sounds good. In real life, the crew room is just over there, so we'd just be walking across here towards the airplane. Let's see where they're gonna come from in the scenery now. Oh, they're coming from the arrivals hall. Okay, well that's interesting. The departures is up here upstairs, downstairs is the arrival. But, you know what? If that's where they want us to be, then that's where they want us to be. Trying to play the game here a little bit with GSX and see how that's gonna work. And Ronald, good call. OFP is gone for now. We'll get it back up when we actually need it. Oh nice, they put up some pics over there. PICS is the abbreviation for the passenger guidance system. We already start loading some luggage over there. In real life we wouldn't use the rear hold, we'd just use the front, because that means we only need a single belt, and therefore a single crew. Right, so, first pilot on board. That's our signal. Let's try to get it.
Crew boarding starting.
You can definitely dim that down already. Always find the click spots over here a little bit hard to use, but we're getting there. Right, so PA system check. Those are all over here. Voice recorder on. Flight recorder. Off, back to normal, or we detect an overhead and offlight come on. IRSs, escape rope, and the circuit breakers. So, those are all checked. And let's go ahead over here. Fuel, we said we wanted to take 6 tons. The reason I'm not using GSX refueling is because it conflicts with our our baggage loading, so that's still a downside of GSX, but nonetheless, we can take it from here, can we? Right, so the IRAC is just about to expire. IRAC day tomorrow, but that's fine. Then we're in Cologne, and do we have a GPS yet? No. Let's see if it knows our gate, Delta 12. Yeah, it does. Alright.
Your crew has
take
boarded.
that.
Passengers boarding starting.
So, Cologne to Bergamo, we are the Ryanair something. Let's get that OFP back up, and let's start to get that stuff going. Hope it's big enough that you can actually see it. So, we are the 4 X-ray Mike. Departing runway 14 left on the Kumik 1 Quebec departure. And our routing is via Yankee 854 towards Bombay. Direct Gigat. Direct Abuka. Direct Karlsruhe. Direct Nator. And then November 850 Odina. For the arrival, it's going to be the ILS Whiskey on runway 28. From Bravo Echo Golf, and we have the Odina 3 Echo arrival. And that leads us all the way to Tixum. You know what? Whiskey is a bit outdated. We used that a couple years ago, but now it's Zulu from Tixum. Told you I flew that one a couple times in real life, so that's why I was still used to the little bit older stuff there. It changed like a year ago, but in the last year we didn't have to fly too often.
Thank you.
And 370. Winds, I'm gonna take the average here. Somebody asked me a while ago if we should take the average of the top of climb wind, because in my tutorials I took the top of climb wind. And it would be correct, according to my company, to use the top of climb data for this. However, in the real 737 FMC, you have the route data prompt available over here already before the IRS is aligned. And that is not the case in the simulation at the moment, because in the simulation we still have a little bit older FMC version. Interesting, what am I getting? Should be able to put that in. Alright, well, then we're gonna do that stuff in the air, just like we would normally in real life. Enter now procedure. I happen to know that one by heart, so I'll just put it in like this. Alright. And that is pretty much the FMC setup currently done for. Then let's go ahead with the rest of the checks over here. Nope, that's what I wanted to press. Right, refueling is complete, so we can put the seat belts on already. Do have engineering here, so the engine starter, the ignition can go on the right hand side. Trying to do the setup as quick as possible here, because I don't want to waste your guys' time. Anyway, the procedures you see are pretty much the same procedures as I covered in the tutorial, so I do expect that you are more or less familiar with them. By the way, it's really nice to see right now that I'm just looking outside how GSX has the passengers walking in here. Now, It would be even nicer if they came from the correct spot from up here, but I guess walking stairs is not really possible in GSX right now, so we have them coming from the arrivals hall there. But
Good evening, Val. How are you?
that's fine.
I'm doing
We can
good.
live with that. Okay, let's also dim those lights a little bit already. In the real plane they have a really cool feature. If you put the knob just about in the middle, then it's going to adjust the dim automatically in the real aircraft. Now that wasn't possible in Microsoft Flight Simulator due to the lighting engine being a bit unreliable in these terms, but would be really nice if we saw that in a future version. Provided that Microsoft ever actually makes it possible. We are gonna fly this one on VATSIM, however, there is currently no ETC online here, so it's gonna be Unicom departure.
How are you? Hello. Welcome aboard.
And we are almost there. So that's pretty much it. Alright, then. No time to lose, we gotta try... Oh, it's the FMC? Ah, there we go. No time to lose, we gotta try the 25-minute turnaround over here. So let's go ahead and do a briefing. Talking about the threats for the departure, well... It's a brand new version of the aircraft, so not 100% familiar with it. There might be some last minute changes or something that I might not be aware with. I've also heard about a bug that some people talked about, that the panel would just freeze up. So if you notice anything like it, it's going to be a reason to reject the takeoff. But we'll see about that by the time that we get there. So apart from that, I don't have any particular threats for this departure. So let's go ahead and do a quick route check. Gonna need this. So we're going from Echo Delta Delta Kilo to Lima India Mike Echo with the Romeo Yankee Romeo 4 X-Ray Mike. A routing is via Kumik Yankee 854 Bombi, direct Giget, direct Abuka, direct Karlsruhe, direct Nator, November 850 Odina with the Odina 3 Echo arrival for runway 28. That gives me a ground distance of 455, 454 in here, and what do we have here? Come on, do some calculations, please. It doesn't. Lovely. Any discount? Anything missing? Nope, there should be everything in. Well, probably... I guess that's because we have a rather old FMC version in the PMDG, while the real aircraft has a newer version that is able to do those calculations before the IRS is actually aligned. Alright, if that's what it is, then that's what it is. We'll have to live with it for now. Let's go on with the briefing. Time UTC 1419, altimeter 1004, reading 230. The flight directors are on, the master is on my side, and the standby instruments are set. The MFRA is going up to 1800 feet. Just gonna set that in a moment, and then we'll continue from there. Let's take it to the emergencies then. Above 80 knots, I will only reject the takeoff for fire warning, engine failure, predictive wind shear warning, aircraft unable or unsafe to fly. If I call stop, I'll simultaneously close the thrust lever, disengage the auto throttle, apply max manual braking, verify operation of the RTO auto brakes. Manually raise the speed brake lever, apply max reverse thrust, and when the aircraft comes to stop, I'll set the park and brake. I go on from the right hand seat. If you call stop, I note the brakes on, speed close, speed picks up, as speed picks up, and thrust is normal indications. I call 100 knots, 80 knots, 60 knots, and the runway distance remaining. Verify your actions, call in emissions, I will call auto brake disarm, and select flight 40 when the parking brake has been set and advise ATC to reject. We then identify the failure and carry out any drills as appropriate. If we decide to evacuate the aircraft, we do the evacuation checklist. Time permitting, we'll pull the CBR circuit breaker. You grab the lid and let me get out. If the call before we once keep going, no actions below 400 feet except to cancel any warnings, raise landing over the positive rate, 400 feet, verify heading, select and carry out the memory items. At the MFRA, we'll buck up to check flaps and schedule. Flaps up no light, select level change, MCT, engage the automatics, non-normal checklist, normal checklist, and then we decide on the further course of action. This is going to be a left seat takeoff on runway 14 left, flap 5, noise abatement 2 with a buck up at 1500. EOSID straight out to 6 miles, left turn to Wipper, hold 360 left turns, and that's pretty much this part. Let's take out some Navigraph charts and see how they are going to work today. Recently I no longer had problems with them, so let's see if I'm going to get another crash to death up with this or not. We can always give it a try, and then regret it later on, right? Right, so we've got to take this one, and we've got to take those over here. So, we are parking on Delta 12. It's going to be a pushback onto the blue or the orange line, and then via one of the colored mics over here to Alpha 7. We'll take Alpha 5 figures just in case that Alpha 7 is blocked for whatever reason. Our departure is going to be the QMake 1 Quebec departure. And that one is on a plate 10-3 Bravo, effective 12th of September. Transition altitude 5000 versus 5001 in the FMC, 14 left, QMake 1 Quebec. Speed max 250, below low 100, and that is interesting. This should not be showing. Okay, time for bug report then. Gonna do that after the live stream. Anyway, the routing is straight ahead to Delta Kilo 920 above 11 and 20, left turn Delta Kilo 921, max 2, 5 knots above 1640, Delta Kilo 922 on a 096 track with 4 miles, and that's above 3000 feet, then on towards Kola, and then 078, 18.5 inbound to QMake. What do you think is our stop altitude? That's right, it's 5000 feet, which we have set twice. In case of a conventional backup, if we have to, QMake 1 Quebec is an RNAV-only departure, but nonetheless we can just go straight ahead onto 096 in Montecola VOR, which is 108.8, active on the NAV1. Thereafter 078 outbound till 18.5 miles, that's on the NAV2 side, active as well now. You have any questions about the briefing, or any suggestions, anything that I missed? No, okay. Then, Frap 99, have a look on the left side, you'll see the drawn textures. Okay, I'm trying. But I don't see it right now. Let's do that later on, okay? Let's do that in flight, and we'll try to see what you mean. In the meantime, however, we can do something useful, which is having a look at the onboard performance tool. So, we're going to use a VPT for that. One that I've been using for quite a long time, so let's see if that one is actually still working. Well, it probably is. At least provided I can get it on screen. Right, here we are. That's what I've been looking for. Alright. So, VPT 0.99, we'll take the beta, as always, and we're going from Cologne, runway 14 left, Alpha 5, we have wet runway, wind 140 at 13, well, that is quite clear which runway we are going to take then, 11 degrees, 1003, optimum max 5, auto off, gives me max takeoff weight, 74,990, at a full 26k. Our destination then, Milan Bergamo, runway 28, 2.5, we'll take that one good wet. I'll take 10 knots of tailwind because of the forecast, 15 degrees, 1016 with a flap 40 landing, and that gets me maximum landing weight, 65317, that's perfect. Okay, so we'll just take the real setup over here. Catering, we have Whiskey 21 Alpha, duty free is not loaded. For the passengers, let's take the stuff from SimBrief. So, virtual dispatcher, SimBrief. And here we go. So this is quite cool, because this is pretty much exactly what we're doing in real life. We're getting the load information document, and the captain has to sign it. And when the captain signed it, we're going to return a copy of that to the handling agent, and the remaining copy is going to stay with us in the flight deck. Alright, so let's see what we have then. 136, 2 and 1. I'm actually going to load that up in the payload menu now to see that I can get the same numbers out of the virtual performance tool that we have actually on board the airplane. I would love to see a small link between the two, but unfortunately we don't have that yet, so we'll have to live with what we have for now. So that's 138 passengers. Then we have 2,477 kilos, and that's in hold number 2, so that is the forward cargo compartment, and the aft cargo is going to be empty. I'm going to load the OPT automatically with that.
Thank you, Captain. Have a nice flight.
Oh, thank you. And then we have 6 tons of fuel loaded. Now what do we get here? Out of trim. Well, I know we are not out of trim in the virtual aircraft, so let's just about take it and expect that we are not out of trim. So over here, let's see, takeoff CG 12.1. Well, that is not very good. Let's see if we can actually load that, distribute that load a bit different. So we have 2,477 kilos. Let's make that 1,377 in the front and then 1,100 in the back. So then we would actually have loaded something in the back. But if that's the only thing we can do in order not to be out of trim, well, then you just have to do it. Even though primarily we would try to reseat passengers, because that's just easier than having to unload all the bags and load them again and so on. So now it's fine. So we have 56.1, and that is versus 58.5. Well, we've been planned full, so we are missing 2.4 tons. Let's see, 139 passengers. Yeah, that kinda adds up. Well, with that much cargo, it wasn't a full plan either, but more something like 160. It's a little bit unfortunate that we don't have the booking data available that we have in real life. Anyway, 56.1 giving 62.2, which matches the OPT as well. Then let's see on the dispatch page. Why did it lose that data? I just entered it. That is unfortunate, but well, we can get it to work. Temperature is 11, we don't need anti-ice, and we get here with a 22k takeoff at 45 degrees. So let's go ahead and do just that. 88.3 versus 87.5. That is expected since we don't have anti-ice, since we don't have air conditioning on at the moment. Flap 5 takeoff, and we have 18.1 in the CG, giving 6 units of trim. Let's get the thing turning. Looking at 6 units. Here we are. And then we have takeoff speeds on a wet runway, 131, 138, and 142. So 31. Why are they so incredibly different? That doesn't make sense to me. There gotta be something wrong here. Let's go over that stuff again. 62.2 is the gross weight. That matches our takeoff calculation. We have 22k, 45 degrees. 88.3, 87.5. That makes sense. For flap 5 takeoff, 18.1, which is what we have in the OPT as well. And then 31, 38, 42. There's got to be something wrong. But I can't tell you what it is right now. If anybody notices something that I've put in incorrectly, then please let me know. But there is definitely something wrong in the calculation over here. But I just don't get it. It's Cologne, 1 for left, Alpha 5, good. Used to be raining a small while ago. Looks like it stopped. Let's see how much it changes if we take dry figures. 38, 38, 42. If I'm taking dry in here. 38, 38, 42. I just put that to wet one more time. Interesting. There's got to be an issue with the wet figures in the FMC. But I'll investigate that one later on. And for the live stream, well, we found some matching values, and it's not raining outside anymore. And unfortunately, Flight Simulator doesn't remember that it rains, so it doesn't know that it's actually wet outside. But if it doesn't know that it's wet outside, then it also doesn't know that we should have wet figures for the departure. So, not the nicest way of doing things. But in terms of Flight Simulator and what it can or cannot do, I guess that is a valid course of action. So, yeah, well, I guess we gotta live with that. In the meantime, let's get our GSX guys to connect the pushback tug. And when GSX is here, then we will start reading our checklist. Or rather, while GSX is working, we'll read our checklist. So, safety inspection checklist and before start checklist.
Hello Captain, we are ready for pushback.
Services and shocks, checked. Maintenance status, checked. Battery, on. Electric hydraulic pumps, on. Landing gear lever, down. Ship's library, checked. RS mode selectors, nav. Gear pins, we have 1, 2, 3 removed. Probe covers, unfortunately not simulated in here. In real life we just hang them over here and it should be 5 covers. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 removed. Light test checked. Oxygen. Always forget that in a sim, I don't know why. Let's test 100%. Yaw damper on, nav transfer and display switches, normal and auto. So, for the fuel, we require 5,923. We have 6 tons on board and 4 pumps on. Cabin utility IFE on, emergency exit lights on, fasten belts on, window heat on, air condition and pressurization, packs auto, bleeds on set, pressurization mode selector, auto, instruments, cross check, auto brakes, RTO. Hydraulics, normal, speed brake. Down to 10. Gonna get back to you, GSX. Park and brake, set. Step trim cutout switches, normal. Wheel bar fire warning, checked. Radius, radar and transponder, set standby. Radar and aileron trims, 3 and 0. Take a briefing, discussed, and holding at PA. Let's make a quick PA then, welcome our passengers on board, and then we can make our way. Ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome aboard this Ryanair flight going to Milan Bergamo. My name is Emmanuel and I am your captain today. With me on the flight deck, a lot of lovely first officers currently watching the live stream. For now, sit back, relax, enjoy the flight. We're looking at a flight time of approximately 1 hour and 10 minutes with no expected turbulence. The cabin crew is shortly going to point out some of the safety features on board this Boeing 737-800 aircraft, and I would like to ask you for your full attention, as that is not just for your own safety, but also for the safety of the people sitting around you. For now, thank you very much for your attention, sit back, relax, enjoy the flight, and if there is anything we can do for you to make it more comfortable, please don't hesitate to ask any of our charming cabin crew. Thank you very much for your attention, and once again, welcome on board. Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, einen wunderschönen guten Tag aus dem Cockpit. Mein Name ist Emanuel und ich bin Ihr Kapitän. Mit mir im Cockpit eine Menge sehr guter Leute, die sich jetzt gerade den Livestream mit anschauen. Wir erwarten heute eine Flugzeit von etwa 1 Stunde und 10 Minuten mit einem ruhigen Flug und einer pünktlichen Ankunft. Wir bedanken uns ganz herzlich, dass Sie unsere Gäste sind, wünschen Ihnen einen schönen Aufenthalt bei uns an Bord und wenn es irgendetwas gibt, womit wir Ihnen den Flug schöner gestalten können, zögern Sie bitte nicht, sich an unsere Flugbegleiter zu wenden. Vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit und noch einmal herzlich willkommen bei uns an Bord. Right, that is the PA completed. In the meantime, we also have the APU running, so they can remove all the remaining ground equipment. Park and brake is set, chocks can go. Alright. Then, we still do not have any ATC online over here, that is unfortunate. But nonetheless, then we can just clear ourselves. So we have 5,000 feet, Romeo 1 for left, Cumic 1 Quebec, and Squawk 2000 is in. Alright, let's complete the remainder of the checklist. PA complete, FMC CDU. Set M1 and IS bucks, we have automatic. It's a reduced 22k takeoff at 45 degrees, speeds 138, 138, 142 set. Step trim, 6 units set. Performance, weight and balance, signed and sent. Phones, off, EFB, airplane mode stowed, flight of windows and cockpit door. Locked, doors closed, passengers seated. Before start checklist, complete down to the line. Cockpit to ground. Go ahead. Please confirm all doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment removed, and bypass pin is installed. And the aft hold is empty. So we can confirm blah 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 blah. Cabin crew, arms, lights, and cross check. So for the pushback, it is going to be facing, well, the south pretty much. Well, if it's southeast over here, I'm fine with that. And we'll go on to the blue line.
Release parking brakes.
Okay, before start checks, below the line. Compacts, off, anti-collision light on, park and brake set, transponder out off, before start checklist complete. Ground traffic around Air4 X-ray Mike, Delta 1-2, push it back onto the blue line. Okay, brake released.
Commencing push. All engines clear, start at will.
Roger. Right, so we are about beyond the red line over here, so let's start engine number 2. N2. All pressure. N1. %, fuel on. Check that the valves are operating correctly. They kinda missed the line a little bit during the pushback, but that is pretty much like what we mostly see in real life, because they have a lot of pushback drivers in training at the moment. So,
Set parking brakes.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
We have starter cutout, monitor 2, starting 1. And 2. All press. And 1.
Unlocking gear. Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
Okay, we have 2 good starts. Clear to disconnect. Placing along
Left
the
is
right
clear,
side.
right is clear.
Thanks, clear to disconnect. Please on the right hand side with the pin. Bye bye. Start a cutout. Monitor 1, 2, 4, 6, 3. Number 1 stable. So, there is our handling agent coming. Now we're just waiting for the thumbs up before we can do the rest. Okay, thank you, and he's got the pin in his hands. Don't need anti-ice for the departure. So, flight control track. Full up, full down, full left, full right, and the rudders, full left, full right. Before taxi checklist. Generators on, APU off, start switches, continuous, probeat on, anti-ice off, air conditioning, PAX auto, bleeds on, isolation mode, auto, flaps. That is 5 required, 5 selected, and green light. Step trim, 6 units set. Start levers, idle detent, flight controls checked, recall checked, before taxi checklist complete. Current traffic around F4 from right, taxi order point 1 for left via the blue line and Alpha 7. Okay, we are clear on the left, and clear on the right. Holding point is just over there. Brake released, config. Now in real life there is currently a construction site over here, so we'd have to swing over to the orange line. But since that's unfortunately not on the flight simulator, we'll just take Mike Center over here towards the holding point then. I will ding the cabin already so that they start with their procedures. In the meantime, let's do the before takeoff checklist down to the line. Config, checked. What's that? Ah, the overwing exits again. Jetted issue in the 737. Well, in the PMDG 737, never seen it in the real one. Anyway, config checked, flaps. So we have 5, green light, step trim, 6 units required and set. Takeoff briefing. Left sea takeoff, runway. What are we on? 1 for left, flaps 5, noise abatement 2, and the departure procedure. Straight ahead, Delta Kilo 920, 921. At 2,000 feet, contact departure. Emergency straight at 6 miles left to the power, holds 360 left turns, climbing 4,000 feet. The squawk is in, and that is reviewed. Cabin secure, before takeoff checklist complete down to the line. Below traffic around F4 extreme right, line up and takeoff runway 1 for left. Okay. Clear on the left as far as I can see. Cabin crew, please take your seats for departure. So, confirm readback. Cleared for takeoff, runway 1 for left. Clear left, and clear right. Before takeoff checklist below the line. MCP, set, transponder, Tara, strobe lights, on, landing lights on, before takeoff checklist complete. Are you ready? Then, timing. So let's see, somebody asked me earlier on if the auto throttle disconnect bug would still be there. I haven't seen it recently, but this is a live stream, so of course it has to happen now. Let's go. Set takeoff thrust. Takeoff thrust set, indications normal. Checked.
B1. Rotate. Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. LNAV. Let's put the autopilot in at 1,000 feet as per SOP. After all, we want to put the autopilot to test over here. Plug up. 2 knots faster than the speed restriction, that's fine with me. Flaps 1, speed check, flaps 1. Flaps up, speed check, flaps up. In real life, this is normally the moment where we get a climb to flight level 140. And we can delete the 5,000 feet restriction, please. And we have flaps up, no lights. VNAV, set standard. Passing 37, climbing 140 after takeoff checklist. 12 degrees, don't need anti-ice for now. Air condition and pressurization, 1.8. Set. Altimeters. Standard passing 45, climbing 140. After takeoff checklist complete, release the cabin crew. FMC message, unable 250 knots, not a problem. So for now I have to say the autopilot's doing this really well. We've seen the same thing, by the way, on the stream of Flight Deck to Sim just before mine started, and the autopilot also did a really good job over there, with the exception of a little level off, and I will try to recreate that one later on in the live stream. So let's see if we will be able to recreate that. Passing 7,000 or so, usually the point where you get a direct to Bombi. So let's go ahead and do that. LNAV available, LNAV. The autopilot's doing a really neat job here at the rate at which it starts the bank. Let's see if it finishes it just as well. Could have been a little bit more consistent banking to the wings level position, but seeing some of the limitations of the Microsoft Flight Simulator atmosphere, I'm rather happy with the way that it did this. I'll quickly update the direct. We do have to do that in real life from time to time as well, so that's entirely normal. Altimeters, passing 100, climbing 140 with 10 checks. I'll just delay the 10 checks a little bit in order that we can actually watch how the autopilot is going to fly the acceleration up here. But really smooth in taking the nose down, which is important at these speeds. If you're flying an airplane at these kind of speeds, it is very important that you lower the nose very gently in order to reduce the G-forces. Even at 250 knots, it is very easy to cause some very high G-forces if you just pull the nose or push the nose quick enough. Which prior to the update it used to do from time to time. But now, look at this. Really smooth there. You wouldn't feel anything in the passenger cabin like this. Right, let's continue the climb. Level 250 is normally the next clearance that we get on this route. Set. And since 250 is above 150, we'll go full climb thrust as well. Increasing thrust now. Temperature 9 degrees. Let's put the engine anti-ice on. Tie. Okay, then, 10 checks. Fuel is balanced with 4 pumps on. The lights are going off. APU is off, air conditioning pressurization 4.5, climbing, and that's all set. Temperatures in the passenger cabin good as well. Can just reset this to AU and T, which is where we normally have it in real life. Then fasten belts. Well, no turbulence over here, so fasten belts auto, recall checked, monitoring 1.5, and there is nobody online to connect on CPDLC, so that's the 10 checks completed. Let's see then, flight deck to sim had an issue where he went to level change and the airplane overshot the target speed. So let's do the same, level change, 310, let's see where we can get it. Oh, slowly approaching the top of the clouds. So, airspeed is increasing. 310 is what we're looking for. It does raise the nose. And it slightly overshoots the target by a knot. Well, that is fine for me. For me, that is perfectly within the allowable deviation. The real airplane is very good at capturing the speed. Now, flight deck to sim at a little bit excessive overshoot there by like 4 or 5 knots. This one with just a knot is absolutely fine. Let's try if we can do the same on the way down. 280 knots. So on the way down with the airspeed, I mean. Flight director indicates the down command, autopilot follows. We are slightly overshooting, 2 knots, maybe 3. But that is totally fine in my opinion. The real airplane is rather good at capturing those speeds, but honestly I have to say this is, for me personally, close enough. So let's go back into VNAV. One more attempt for the aircraft to capture a speed. Let's see how good it's gonna perform this time. In the meantime, direct Karlsruhe. We get that one very often over here. LNAV available, LNAV. And 2 knots, 3 knots. Not 100% precise, but in my opinion within the tolerable ranges. Alrighty. Overshooting the turn a tiny bit here. We are 0.1 mile to the left of our route. But we accelerated during the turn, so then it will happen in real life. Now it's back on it. Perfect. So if you accelerate the aircraft or you slow it down while you're in a turn, then the real one is also going to end up to the left or right of the magenta line. In that case, what we do, just take the waypoint from the top of the legs page, like this. Come on. Copy and paste it onto the first line, execute, and then you're going to be right on the line once again. Let's try the next thing over here. When we have 1,000 to go, then we'll select vertical speed, 1,000 feet a minute. So let's do that now, VS. Smooth pitch down, very good. 1 to go. Speed is increasing here a bit. Let's see, now it's reducing. Right, it shouldn't do that. It should have reduced the thrust immediately, but I think I know why it's doing this. So I'm gonna submit a report for that after the live stream. Anyway, with that test complete, we can just put it back up to our cruise level 370. VNAV 370 is checked, and we have that once, twice, and 3 times. We could even go to 390 if we wanted to. And we are monitoring 1 to 1.5. What does the FMC want? Unable 250 knots, yeah. I think I'll fix that real quick. The reason it's doing that is because of a limitation of the nav database. The restriction should be 250 knots or less, and then that's gonna fix it, because descent speed at Cosmic 6 is 245 knots, therefore it can't automatically accelerate on the descent. It can slow down, but it can't accelerate. That's why it gave us that message. But that is acceptable. I did get quite a lot of requests for winter operations tutorials over the recent days. Oh. He's 30 miles out. That's not gonna play a role. I can tell you, however, why that's happening in a few moments as well. Anyway, I got quite a couple of requests for some winter operations tutorials recently, and those are gonna come over the course of the next couple of weeks. Hopefully rather days than weeks, but I can't promise anything yet, as I have quite a tight schedule over the next couple of days. Lots of Canary Island flights there. However, here's one thing. We are flying at a very high altitude. The outside air temperature is already below minus 40 degrees. Flying at these temperatures, any water that might be in the clouds will be so deep frozen that it will just bounce off the airplane. So with that in mind, we can turn the engine anti-ice off even if we were still in a cloud up here, because as said, that is really only playing a role at temperatures between plus 10 degrees centigrade indicated on the TAT and minus 40 static air temperature as indicated on the progress page 2. But a more detailed tutorial on that is going to follow over the course of the next couple of days or maybe weeks. Right, Brad is asking about the EFB there. Well, I covered it in today's video announcing the release, but the EFB is estimated to go into testing over the course of the next couple of days, just like the 737-900. So the EFB will go into beta testing shortly. And from the time that it's in beta, it's probably not going to be very long until the expected release. So let's take another direct, because this is typically where they send you direct to NATO. Basically, they try to get you eastbound here, far enough that you don't cut into France when they give you a shortcut over here. And up here, Baden-Baden is basically the airfield that's closest to the border. So once you're clear of that, they normally send you direct to NATO in real life. Angular bank, 10 degrees. Nope, that doesn't go far enough over. Let's take ours then. We just reached the sweet spot for the sun over here, where it just goes right in between the two sunshades. In that case, I'll just go over to the first officer's seat, make sure that at least he's got a proper sunshade. Ooh. Lovely wind shift over here. Thank you very much, Microsoft. But the plane is recovering nicely. Very slow pitch up due to the G-forces. Of course that's going to give us an excessive rate of climb, but I'm not going to do anything about it for now. I'll just let it recover to the target speed. So, time to pitch down. I set time to pitch down. And here we go. Very slowly, very smoothly. Look at that. Oh, and there the wind shifts back, and now all our airspeed is gone. Good job, Microsoft. Good job. Well, at least we are really putting the autopilot to the test here. That's those scenarios that the autopilot has to be built for in Flight Simulator that would never ever happen in real life. If we had a wind shift like that in real life, it would just about tear your wings off. Right now, if we look out to the horizon line, we can see the airplanes twitching a tiny bit up and down. Now that's something that I personally would like to be ironed out of the aircraft, but it also is something that apparently is very hard to iron out because of those issues with the Flight Simulator atmosphere. So hopefully that's going to come in the future version. Of course the real airplane wouldn't do that, because that would actually drive passengers crazy. Alright, what we're gonna do here, we'll just about climb the airplane a little bit higher. Let's go 390, we set that's the optimum. So, optimum 395, let's go up then. Alternate event, 390 once, twice, and 3 times, monitoring 1 to 1.5. So now we can go to the optimum altitude. That's gonna save us maybe 20 kilos of fuel, but then again Ryanair is operating 3,000 flights a day. Imagine 3,000 times saving 20 kilos, then you saved so much fuel, which is really going to make an impact both on the environment as well of course on Michael O'Leary's personal wallet. The latter one probably being more important than the first one. Anyway, Goodwin, when you have a sit with a lot of turns where you have to fly slow, how would you use the autopilot, what modes, etc. from takeoff to direct after takeoff on the sit to keep the speed down, etc. Well, the aircraft is going to keep the speed automatically in VNAV. So, what we would do in my company, since we have the SOP not to engage VNAV until the flaps are up with no light and 3,000 feet above the departure field elevation, we would set the speed bug manually to the most limiting speed restriction, and then we would retract the flaps in accordance. For example, if we have the Kumik 1 Quebec departure that we just followed, and we have a 205 knot limit there for the first turn. Now, if we had a very heavy aircraft, for example, going down to Cyprus or to Jordan, then we would just set the speed 205 knots, go to flap 1, then keep it in that until we have flown the aircraft around the turn, and then we would buck up, and once the flaps are retracted and we're above 3,000 feet above the departure elevation, engage VNAV. Now, as I know that most flight simulators are simply using LNAV and VNAV all the time, you can make your life a little bit easier indeed than we do in real life there. Now, what you can do in Flight Simulator then is VNAV is always going to obey your speed restriction for as long as you keep the flaps out on an appropriate setting. So if you have a speed restriction of, for example, 190 knots, and your flap 1 speed would be 188, then you could retract your flaps to 1. And if you're in VNAV with the flaps at 1, at that point it is going to command the 190 knot speed restriction. Until it flies past the point, then it's going to command further flap retraction. So VNAV is perfectly usable for that. And in case you're using the method as we use in my airline, then just set that speed restriction manually and retract the flaps in accordance. You would leave the flaps out rather than bust the speed limit. Going over a speed limit by maybe 2 knots as we just did in here isn't much of a problem in real life. Nobody cares about that. But, you know, 10 knots for example would be too much. Then Ronald, a lot of companies have custom SOPs how hard is it to change airline and fly the same aircraft with different procedures? I can't speak from personal experience here, because so far I've only flown for that one airline. So, what a couple of colleagues, however, told me is that it can be quite demanding. You're literally sitting inside the same plane, but you might just about be blown totally away because all of a sudden you have to do things totally different. A colleague of mine told me a story once. When he did his line training, he taxied the airplane to the holding point at 5 knots for the entire time. At one point, the training captain asked him, "Why do you taxi the plane so slowly?" And he just said, "Well, because my mind is still during boarding at the gate." And that was a perfectly acceptable answer, of course. So, yeah, it can be quite challenging, even if it's the same aircraft. Now, I'm really looking forward to what it's going to be when I transition to the Airbus, and that is certainly going to be, like, totally different. But that might actually make things easier than staying on the same aircraft or on a very similar type. So, for example, if I were to change to, let's say, a 747 or 757, I'm very sure that would be harder than changing to a totally different aircraft type like the A330. Alright, reaching cruise level. Smooth level off. Very nice. Exactly how the real airplane's doing it. And here we are. Conset. So, speed is increasing a tiny bit above the target speed. Now that is totally fine. The real airplane might do the same thing. Oh, lovely wind shift. The real airplane would not do this, by the way. Just saying. Let's get some speed brake out. Oh, lovely. I didn't have those wind shifts for a long time, and all of a sudden they're really aggressive. I guess I don't even want to know what Microsoft is doing in the background there, do I? Anyway, what I was about to explain is the way the real auto throttle works. When you reach your cruising altitude, it has a calculated target N1 that it would need in order to maintain its airspeed. And that is the N1 that it would set. Now, the real airplane will always have a little bit of deviations around that target N1. But what we can then see is that the real aircraft is going to accept some speed changes by 0.015 Mach and is not going to change the thrust for as long as the aircraft remains inside that range. And that is programmed in the PMDG 737 as well now. The background about that is that it's designed to keep the EGT constant so that the thermal loading on the engines stays the same. Imagine that like you have a little piece of metal which you twitch all the time. Eventually at some point it is going to break. And it is the very same with any metal basically, just like the engines themselves. So in order to reduce that twitching, in order to reduce the expansion and contraction of the metal of the engine, that is why the auto throttle is designed to accept minor speed changes in order to keep the EGT constant. Now, I will cover that topic with a little bit of real-life footage as well in a separate video, so stay tuned for that if you're interested, and I think I'll have that up probably tomorrow or the day thereafter. Hi Flyer, would you please share your rudder sensitivities? Yeah, of course. That is neutral. I haven't done any changes to that. Andrew, what was that con you just set? Alright, so that is on the N1 limit page. Normally we have it in cruise and then automatic. So cruise is the normal mode over here, providing an N1 limit at, where is it at the moment? Like 95%-ish. However, there has been an incident 2 years ago where an aircraft encountered severe turbulence and it lost a lot of airspeed until it eventually went into an almost stall. And the airplane lost 20,000 feet of altitude to recover that airspeed. And that's why we changed our SOP, because after that incident it was determined if the crew had changed manually from the cruise limit to maximum continuous thrust, which provides 4% more N1, then the crew would have been able to prevent the stall overall and could have regained that lost airspeed. Previously, it was procedure that you would change to max continuous manually when you enter turbulence. Now that's been changed and we no longer use the cruise limit at all. We always change it to max continuous as soon as we reach our cruise level. Boudwin, how do you get an extended centerline from the runway if you're flying VFR like you showed in earlier tutorials? Yeah, you can either do it like Michael says, with a fixed info for the runway reciprocal heading, but you can also do something else. Let me quickly show you. I'll put the aircraft in heading select here, and now if I want to extend any centerline, for example from Nator, let's assume Nator was our runway, and the runway would have a course of 250 degrees. Then I can enter a direct towards Nator, and then we have the intercept course window down here. I put 250 in there, execute that, and then we'll get a 250 degree line inbound to Nator. Right now we're probably too close for that to work. Let's try that with another waypoint. Let's do it with Trasardingen. 250 intercept course, execute, and here we go. Now we've got our radial 250 line inbound to Trasardingen. And what I did on the traffic pattern video is that I did the very same with the runway waypoint. But now let's go direct to Trasardingen. LNAV available. LNAV. So on the traffic pattern video I did the very same thing with the runway waypoint. Enter a direct, then put your inbound course, or the runway course in that case, in, and then the airplane is going to bring you right there. Alright, so while we are flying along here, I will start the approach preparation already. So we'll have 250 knots below 10,000. For the forecast we'll take the winds at 310, at 200 and at 100. Now in my airline we don't have any uplinks, but I'm a lazy guy, so when I have them available I am just going to uplink our weather. I'm just about looking into the latest weather as well, and right now in Bergamo we have 110 degrees 4 knots, 4,000 meters visibility, Broom, few 1,000, broken 7,000, 14 degrees 1016. So let's load that weather. We take 1016 as the QNH, and for the transition level let's see what we actually have there. Please load my flight, thank you. So, Ordina 3 Echo arrival, that sounds about right. And then we'll have the ILS Zulu approach for runway 28.
This is 279 Quebec behind the company on final runway 14.
So, transition altitude in Bergamo, 6,000. That means we'll have a transition level of 70. Rings around runway 28. It is going to be a tailwind approach, but since there is no straight-in approach available for runway 10, that means we will fly the tailwind. 117, 10, and we have 4,000 meters visibility, so we are no longer VMC. That means we'll take a 5-mile ring and a stable gate at 1,000 feet, of course. Let's see, Odina level 235. ATC wants us there below level 250, so that's fine. All of this stuff over here is fine. Let's just step through it. And normally what you get after OC1 is a direct towards Tixum. So let's just about put that in. have a restriction here between 6 and 9,000 at 230 knots. Let's see if we take that out. Level 7.3 at 244. So we stay with the 230 knots, but we'll put level 7.3 in here. Alright, and that is going to give us a good enough guidance in order to take the shortcut towards Tixum and then join the ILS directly, like in the chart over here. Always a good idea when you're approaching Bergamo is to have a look at the radar vectoring chart. So radar minimums we can see rather high over the Alps. Level 130, this one is Bergamo up here. Then level 105, 70 all the transition level, and then 4,000 down in the south. So initially we can expect to be kept quite high by air traffic control. That happens all the time here in real life as well, by the way. Fuel burning 900, I'll calculate a bit less since we're probably not going to fly all this. So let's calculate like 700 kilos off, giving us 59.3 for the landing weight. And flap 30 landing. Auto brakes 3, but we're going to do the mathematics in a moment. (1016), and the final thing we need over here is going to be the ILS data. So we have 282 in the courses. So, sorry FO, I will need that.
37 at Quebec on final behind the company, runway 140.
Thanks, don't want to listen to all the guys in Frankfurt or in Zurich. So, sorry FO. In real life, we would of course just take that other sunshade, put it over here. Unfortunately, that's not simulated by PMDG, so we'll have to take it from where it is. And then we have 282 on the courses. We'll need frequencies 108.7. And that's going to go in on both sides. For the missed approach, Bergamo 1495. And that can go on both sides as well. 1495, the minimums for this one. Cat 1, category Charlie, 990 feet. Set. Alright. So, that's pretty much that part. Let's do a quick approach briefing then. Threats for the arrival, we mainly have the high terrain up to the north. We had that on the radar chart up here already. So 130 until you're rather close to the airport, like within 10 miles or so. And then we can get further down, 70 and then 4,000 south. Arrival is going to be the Odina 3 Echo arrival, that is on the chart 10-2, effective 30th of December. Transition level by ATC, lost com refer 10-1 Papa. Well, we don't expect to do that today. So, for the FMC, 250 below 100, forecast pages filled in, fixed range runway 28, 10 and 5. The arrival from Odina towards Mike Echo 872, that's max 250 knots above level 130. Same track, Mike Echo 860 above flight level 110, then to Bergamo VOR above level 90. Right turn to Ogvon, max 230 knots, and between 6000 and 90. I've calculated the shortcut here, gives me flight level 73. And then from there on we go to Mike Echo 632, then 628, 624, 620, 616, Ulvon, and then on towards Tixum. From Tixum we join the ILS Zulu approach, runway 28, chart 11-1, effective 30th of December. Frequency is 108.7, that's set on both radios with the courses at 282 and going down to the minimum of 990 feet, which is set on both sides. So from Tixum, max to 10, 6,000 feet. We go towards Lazav, max 185 knots above 4,000 feet. And then towards the final approach, we'll take a speed limit of 180 knots or less in at the FAF. Approach itself starts at 8.6 DME, 3,500 feet, that's our Fox India, going down in a 3-degree glide to the minimums of 990 And in case of a missed approach, proceed on 282 degrees, climbing 4000, reach 1300 at or above 2.6 DME. So 2.6 is that point, above 1300. Then turn left, max 185 knots to join radial 155 Bergamo towards Adamo. And we have intercept point 185 knots on 155 towards Adamo, climbing 4000. So, reaching our top of descent, let's start our way down. Normally flight level 250 is what you get here from air traffic control. Let's quickly have a look at how good the autopilot is going to start its descent before I continue with the briefing. While we're looking at this, couple more of the questions there. Kohava, can you show the EFB? As soon as PMDG allows me to, I will gladly show it. Then, Michael, what are the different ILS approaches like X-Ray, Yankee, Zulu, etc.? Well, first of all, starting the descent, speed is increasing a little bit here. That's the point where in real life I would just slam the thrust levers to the idle position. That does happen in the real plane, by the way, that it goes a bit fast. It doesn't happen always. In fact, I would tend to say that on most descents it doesn't. But let's see in our second sector how good or not it's going to be there. And then we'll make a decision if that's actually something PMDG needs to work on. Or if we just have encountered one of those few cases where those things just don't work out. Overall, in the descent, speed is a tiny bit high. Now that does happen in real life, even though not frequently. So don't want to judge yet if that is good or not. Anyway, it is descending. It did start the descent rather nicely, so overall, well done there to PMDG. Okay, then, answering the question of Michael, what are the differences between the ILS approaches X-Ray, Yankee, Zulu? Well, normally it's either the initial approach or the missed approach that is different. Then Tom, what's my current opinion on GSX? Am I using it? Do I think it will ever improve? I did use it on the video. You kinda could read my current opinion between the lines. It's still far from perfect, it still needs a lot of improvement, and the basics are there with GSX, but I think they just need a little bit of real-life pilot input to tell them how a turnaround actually works. Because the basics are there, but you can kinda not combine it in the correct way like we would do it in real life on the turnarounds. And that, you know, causes a bit of a delay during every turnaround, because things are just going so incredibly slow in GSX. But I will make a full video on the topic in hopefully the not too far future. In the meantime, I just see the airplane bobbling up and down a bit there. The real one certainly would not do that. And we do have some wind changes here as well, so I guess that's some of the lovely Microsoft turbulence here that's currently kicking in. But you can see the wind changing here. Like, it's only going by a knot or a bit, but I guess that's a sign of some of the lovely Microsoft turbulence. Let's see if we go outside, if we can see that any better. Yeah, this would be rather uncomfortable for the passengers, but you can see how the wings are rocking there, indicating that we are definitely flying through quite a bit of turbulence at the moment. So there we are in that unstable atmosphere that Robert Randazzo has warned about. Alrighty, so we wanted to finish off our briefing. So we covered the missed approach. Then let's go ahead with the diversion. For a diversion towards Milano Malpensa we need 2.3 tons. We arrive at 3 tons. So that's about 20 minutes of extra fuel that we're carrying with us. 700 to burn over here. I'll take 200 less because we'll probably take a shortcut over what's in the FMC at the moment. Give us a landing weight. We'll take 500 kilos, so that's 59.3 for the landing weight. Let's have a quick look into our onboard performance tool then and see what that one is gonna say. So here we go. Landing en route plan 58.7. We have 59.3. That's quite a bit of fuel saved there. But that shall be fine with me for the moment. Even though I would love to have some better explanation as to why we saved that fuel, but probably just a sim brief inaccuracy. I mean, we flew a bit higher, but that saved maybe like 20 or 30 kilos of fuel. Not all that much. 103, 14 degrees, 1015 is what we have in here. Then we're gonna do flap 30 landing, 59.3. 5 knots addition, calculate. That gives me auto brake 3 with idle reverse 41 minutes. Let's see what reverse all operational gives us then. 10 minutes. We want to do 25-minute turnaround, so flap 30 it is, and auto brakes 3 with second detender reverse. So 2,244 meters. Let's go quick and dirty, and I will subtract those 15% allowance from that. So that means we have 2244 times 0.85. Give him an actual landing distance of 1,900 meters. And if we take those 1,900 meters and have a look at our chart over here, we'll see the runway itself 2,900 long, so we'll have a good we'll easily be able to vacate on Delta with that. So that's what we plan for today's landing. Passing level 300, angular bank 25. Alright, so that's our plan for today. Do you have any questions on the briefing? No, very good. Then, we're not gonna do an auto land on this one. We might on the next, but not on this one. But we will use the autopilot all the way till we're established on the final with the landing checklist complete, because we want to see how that is going to handle. So, just a little bit there on the pitching in the VNAV path. I just got some confirmation over there that that is the current compromise between making the aircraft follow the path accurately and on the other hand making it lazy enough to fly through the flight simulator code-induced turbulence there. So, there we've just got that. Just received that update from the developers on the topic. So, something else we are seeing right now. Our speed has decayed quite a bit, probably due to difference in the actual wind and the forecast wind. Let's see if that is true. 236.59, 230. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. I guess it's probably turbulence induced then. But we can see how the airplane increases thrust. Let's see to how much it's going to go. The real one is going to take you anywhere between 70 and 80% or so in order to catch up with the speed. This one's taking 85. That's probably a tiny bit on the high side, but then again, we know that flight simulator physics are working kind of different. Retard. Thrust going back. So accurate back on that speed over here. What we can do in the real airplane, if our speed is deviating quite a bit, is we just enter direct to the inbound waypoint once again, like I'm doing right now, and that is recalculating the VNAV path by taking the current deviation values into account. So let's give it a little bit of time. It's still calculating, as we can see, nothing populated over here, and there we go. So now it's recalculated that VNAV path, taking the current wind and the current temperature. So we'll go down a level 130 as we saw on the radar vectoring chart. So that's that entering a direct to the current inbound waypoint, that is a little trick that we're using in the real airplane. that definitely helps with the VNAV path, because those deviations, they can and do happen in the real airplane as well. Oh, I have a feeling we won't need this one, but we definitely need that one. Weather, well, isn't looking that good. I would love to have a good weather radar right now, but unfortunately what Asobo provides does not provide sufficient data to actually get a realistic weather radar. That is really unfortunate, but well. Then, Jedi01 asked me, is heading select supposed to turn during the takeoff roll? Well, when it's accurately aligned to the runway heading, no. When it's not aligned to the runway heading, yes. And we did see a little bit of a difference there. In real life, runway heading in Cologne is 136. Now, in the simulator it looked like it was more something like 135, 134-ish. That's probably because the magnetic variation data is not 100% up to date in Microsoft Flight Simulator, therefore causing that slight difference there. And that's probably what caused the flight director to indicate different. Then, Sokopeta, do I have the beta EFB? Not yet, but Robert said that it's gonna go into beta in the next couple of days, so I expect to get it very soon. That does, by the way, not mean that I am allowed to share it with you straight away, because I'm still in the non-disclosure agreement. Then, Boudwin, I noticed that in the American METAS, A3026 means 3026 inches QNH, right? Why is the difference from hectopascal? Why is the A notification? Well, the A is probably to indicate that it's altimeter setting. Like in the US, they love to say altimeter 3026. And that probably makes it a bit easier to distinguish from the QNH in hectopascals, as we use it in Europe and most of the rest of the world. Even though, don't quote me on that one, because don't quote me on that one, because I have not yet flown to the US in real life. Classical sheet music. This is kind of a stupid question, but how do you manage LNAV to work? I think that I'm doing something wrong, because even after setting the course, it still just turns on and then right off. Well, to be honest, I insert the stuff in the FMC and I press LNAV, and then it works. Make sure that you meet the capture criteria. I covered that one in a systems video at some point. So, as long as you meet that criteria, I would not know why LNAV should not engage. There is one known issue, though, that can cause LNAV from engaging, and that is when you have some of those Microsoft Flight Simulator assists turned on. Fly and Y, hello, I always get descent path unachievable for VNAV and it never works. Can you please tell me how to make it work? Have a look at my tutorial videos. Those were pretty much the first I uploaded to the channel, and in there I explain how VNAV does work. So I would guess if you get the unachievable message, that means that you at some point did program something incorrectly in the FMC, presenting it with a scenario that it predicts that it cannot fly, and that's how you would end up in that situation then. Daniel, if Active Sky weather comes to Microsoft Flight Simulator, would it be more accurate? I guess you're referring to the VNAV path calculation there. Or do you refer to the overall weather model? If you refer to the overall weather model, I honestly don't think that it can get more accurate. So I'm very excited to see what Active Sky has to offer there. In the meantime, about to enter the clouds, -4 degrees, let's put the engine anti-ice on. And with this turbulence, we'll also put the seatbelt signs on already. Tie, engine anti-ice is on. So let's see what the that turbulence in the clouds is gonna look like. See a little bit pitching there. WS787, step climb tutorial, please. I think I covered that in the cruise tutorial mostly, but I'm gonna do a more extensive separate video on it in the future. I just need to find the time to do all of that. And Dennis, as far as the PMDG weather system, I guess you're referring to the uplinks then. Well, the thing is though, these things in real life get updated like every 12 hours, so don't expect something like entirely accurate in real life either. Those differences, they are simply there, they exist in real life as well, so and so they do in Flight Simulator. So that is nothing that I would be worried about. Man, quite some turbulence here. Rumsfan, coming out of the cloud, that little bump seems to be accurate. Yes, most definitely. When you're entering and exiting clouds, then you usually get that turbulence. While you're in them, you might get it as well. That does look quite impressive, by the way, doesn't it? Like the overall weather model here. That's really the point where Microsoft Flight Simulator shines. Let's quickly go ahead and do the descent checklist as well. Pressurization, land alt 800, anti-ice on, approach briefing fuel discussed, IS and alt box checked and set, descent checklist complete. Getting pretty dark already. I turned the time back 2 hours compared to the current real-life time, and it's already getting dark. I didn't expect that. I kinda hoped to do at least the first flight entirely in daylight. Well, if it means that we're gonna get a nice, that means we're gonna get a nice landing in sunset, then I'm happy with that as well. Speed is on the high side here, by the way. That's because of the engine anti-ice. So we might about a bit of speed brake because we have a 250 knot restriction here at waypoint 872. And we can descend further down to level 110. So, speed is coming back nicely. By the way, it is normal that the speed is going back that slowly in the 737. That's just, you know, Boeing says in the flight crew training manual that the airplane has a very effective speed brake. That's probably just as good of a joke as Airbus saying that the A320 wouldn't balloon on flap extension. Let's get that VSD up, see what things are gonna look like. Doing a very nice job there with the restrictions. Let's get it up on our side as well, because I really like how the VSD gives you an idea of how the airplane is doing in terms of the vertical path. Like we can see, we're going to be above the 90 restriction of Bergamo, but if we go out a little bit more on that zoom, we can see that after this we'll have to descend a tiny bit quicker in order to actually make our Mach 1 restriction. You can see if we prolong that, then we might, well, just about end up there. So 1 mile from the waypoint, we can set our altitude down lower. Next restriction is going to be 90, which is in now. Gonna get rid again of the VSD on my side because it does clutter the display quite a bit. Now, why did the airplane just add thrust? Nope, I'm gonna pull that one back manually. Sometimes the real airplane does this. It does have a tendency to fly on the positive side of the speed limit, but this is definitely too much. So I'm gonna write a report on that one as well. Altimeters, passing 100, descending 90, 10 checks. Fuel is balanced, 4 pumps on, the lights are going on, angular bank 25, air conditioning pressurization 4.2, and set, fast melts on, recall checked, 1 to 1.5, deselected, cabin crew 10 minutes to landing, 10 checks complete. And it is again adding thrust. Nope. I'm just pulling the thrust levers back to idle manually right now, because I certainly don't want any thrust. So next restriction, 60, set altimeter 1016. Passing 9,000, descending 6,000, no flag, standby altimeter set. Why is it adding thrust? Well, back to idle, my friend. .11 degrees, engine anti-ice off. That auto throttle might need a little bit more work there. That certainly doesn't seem like 100% right. Drag required. Yep, I do agree on that. In the meantime, let's go direct to Tixum and take the shortcut that we predicted earlier on. And execute. A little bit high, but that's expected due to our higher airspeed. 6,000 feet at Tixum, and we'll take it from there. Want to go checked, clean of path. Alright, and we'll start our deceleration. So, let's dim those lights a bit more. It is getting really dark by now. Alright, that looks better. So let's do a frisk then. Frequencies 108.7, active Mach 1 and 2. Rings, runway 28, 10 and 5. Addons, we have Bravo, Romeo, Mike both sides. Standby instruments set, and the course is 282. Nope, we still don't want thrust, my friend. Okay, that seems to be an issue right now. That auto throttle is definitely over responsive there. adding thrust when it definitely shouldn't. Well, in that case, we'll just do what we do in real life when the auto throttle acts up. That is, grab your thrust levers and bang them down to the idle stop. Let's go flap 1. Might just as well go speed intervent. To the 1 speed. That should help us to avoid these issues. Approach checklist then. Altimeters and instruments. Thrust checked. Approach rates checked and set. Approach checklist complete. Glide slopes alive. Flap 5. Speed checked. Flap 5. All that rain, I'll just put the start switches back in the continuous. Doesn't sound like it's really strong rain, but nonetheless. I'd rather have them in continuous, just in case. And here we go, turning final. Approach is armed, Warlock captured. I'm heading 282. Got the speed down. Also time to get back on Unicom, which I had switched off a bit earlier. By the way, why is the terrain so bright? It certainly shouldn't. You come down. You come down. Can go down 3,500. Vertical speed. Let's fly right into that glide path. Bergamo traffic, Ryanair 4 X-ray Mike established 10 miles final runway 28. Right, glide slope capture. 4,000 feet set. Shouldn't be any traffic here. We'll assume landing clearance, taxi lights coming on. So, nice job by the autopilot, capturing and maintaining ILS. Not so nice of a job by the auto throttle, increasing thrust from time to time. But I already received a message from the developer that they are working on that. So fix is estimated within the next couple of days, hopefully. If only Microsoft Flight Simulator would have some better debugging capabilities. Terrain noted. So talking about terrain noted, we can see it on the right hand side there. Quite some high terrain. Can't see it outside, but believe me, if we were to have fine weather right now, then this is quite an impressive approach. Okay, we see the ground. Nonetheless, definitely IMC. So at 5 miles, we're gonna configure the airplane. Now, we see the auto throttle slightly increasing speed over here. That is not a bug, that is actually a feature. Because it does do that when it is close to the flap speed. It does fly just a bit faster than that. Which is annoying, but it does. Okay, gear down, flap 15. And the landing checklist. Start switches, continuous, recall, checked, speed brake, armed green light, landing gear down 3 green, auto brake 3 set, and flaps 30, speed checked. Gear F plus 5. Flaps 30, 30, green light, landing lights on, landing checklist complete. Crew seated, clear to land.
1,000.
Checked. Now let's see how well the glide slope and the puppy are simulated here. In real life, when you're approaching Bergamo and you remain on the glide slope, then you will get to 3 rats and eventually 4 on the puppies. But let's see how good that's going to work out in the simulator. Again, it is normal that the auto throttle is flying a little bit faster than the commanded speed over here. That does happen with the real airplane as well. 500 continue. I will use the autopilot all the way down to the minimum use height, and then I'm going to disconnect for a manual landing. So, 3 rats on the puppies, but we're on the glide. That is normal in Bergamo.
Plus 100.
Checked.
Minimums.
Continue. And disconnecting.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Good. That was a bit aggressive. Deep pickup. Thrust goes normal. And we have 80%. Manual brakes, 100 knots. 80 knots, 60 knots. That was quite some intensive braking there, but these things happen from time to time. That's why I just kept the reversers for a little bit longer as well. Alright, I will quickly stop the airplane beyond the runway because the gates are just over there. We still need to clean the airplane up and select the gate in GSX. So, in real life, this is pretty much work for the first officer. Trying to get everything to work out just about in time. Oops. Nope, didn't mean to hit those, but those. We can certainly take a bit of light in here as well. Right, start the APU. And why is the speed brake stuck? Oh, because the reversers are still in idle. Okay, that makes sense. Okay then, GSX, and we want to go to gate. Why do we have only so few positions available there? Let's try that one again. Parking. Yeah, that looks better. So, 204. Follow me, no thanks. And we are stuck. Why are we stuck? Let me guess, PMDG, you blew a tire? That would have been a little bit overdone with that amount of reverse. Yeah, tire failure. Lovely. That would have been a little bit over dramatic. We had the reversers out before we went to manual braking. And it's still doing that again, so let's just take it from here. Ground maintenance, full brakes, and replace tires. Now we should be able to taxi again. So I'm just about having another look at the virtual performance tool here. That one says even for maximum manual braking, we should not have been in the fuse plug melt zone. So we should not have failed a tire with this. But apparently with the PMDG we did. So do we still have an active failure? No. Huh. And says ground speed 1. Okay, we're moving. Even though pretty darn slow. But at least we're moving. So, we said we are going to which parking? Looks like I have to do this again. 204, that's the one up here. That was interesting. Might have to submit another bug report. Because we definitely were not in the tire failure zone with that landing. Anyway, we have a ramp agent. So, 2 blue, 1 red. Engine's dead.
The boarding requested.
So, engines 1 and 2 below 20%. Transit shutdown checklist. Electrical on APU, fasten belts, off, ProPeat auto, anti-ice off, voice recorder on, air complex auto, engine bleeds on, APU bleed off, exterior light set, start switches off, auto brake off, speed brake down intent, flaps up and light, parking brake set, start lever cutoff, weather radar off, transponder 2000 standby, CVRCB in, cockpit door unlocked. Transit shutdown checklist complete. So, Sim Toolkit Pro says we have 189 feet a minute. Well, that sounds decent. So, that rate of descent was definitely alright. And, well. So, well, at least we made it all the way to the gate. Let's see if we can make our 25-minute turnaround then. We'll start the timing over here.
Passengers deboarding starting.
I want some chocks as well, please, and the ground power. So we definitely got some hot brakes, but with the chocks in, we can release the parking brake. Okay, so we'll be flying back towards Cologne now. And over in Cologne, we will actually have an air traffic controller practical exam. So that's gonna be interesting, flying there and seeing how he is going to do. In the meantime, I will quickly plan our flight back towards Cologne, so I'll be straight again with you in about a minute.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right everyone, we're back. I have SimToolkit Pro up, which I'm going to use for the flight plan this time, because it's just a little bit nicer for the eye if everything else is so dark. So, let's head right back into our plane. By the way, I don't know why the frame rate just got that bad. It just seems to do that in Bergamo, and I have no idea why. Anyway, let's start programming our flight back towards Cologne. So, quick look at the weather there, and we will see that weather in Cologne, Carvok, a little bit of rain forecast over the evening, but apart from that, it's gonna stay stably on runway 14 left. Our alternate in Hahn got a little bit of gusts in there, and there will be a little bit of low clouds over the course of the evening, which we have already broken 300. So, that's still fine for the Cat 3 runway over there, so we can dispatch like that. So in order for the fuel, let's go with the minimum that we need, which is gonna be 5.6 tons of fuel. So refueling is gonna be the one thing that I am going to do over the PMDG menu here, because GSX just doesn't cut it there, and it would just, you know, take far too long.
Do you want to deboard crew?
No, definitely not. In real life, the crew would be sweeping the cabin now, in order to see if they can find anything that's not supposed to be there. And as soon as that's done, we can request our boarding already.
Boarding requested.
And for the actual numbers,
Passengers boarding starting.
so let's see, fuel truck is here, so we start refueling in a moment. Fueling and boarding is permitted in Bergamo. We'd have to have a pilot out here though, on the headset, doing the refueling supervision. Alright, so let's go ahead then. Quickly start refueling our plane. So, Abesi, November 851. Then we go via Zulu 162. Tango 163. Tango 844. Tango 840. And Golko. We'll plan runway 24 for the way back, that saves us flying around the corner. And we'll have the Golko 24 transition for that one. Plus the next 6. Reserve fuel 2.4. Zero fuel, planned at 58 tons. And cruise level 340. That's not all that high. But we do have a rather early descent here. Level 240 at ass kick. And by the way, hello to the YouTube algorithm. Yes, I've said the word ass kick. So that's probably gonna earn me an email from YouTube for using words that I'm not supposed to use. But if that's what they call that waypoint, nothing I can do about it. Alright, so let's see what that engine out procedure is actually gonna look like. Again, I really love the website from Blackbox 711 for that. So, engine outset, runway 28, 40 me Bergamo. We're gonna put that one in here, /4. Left turn to Cazzo, Trezzo. And hold. Okay, do we have a Trezzo holding somewhere? Well, no data in here, so unfortunately we'll have to live with it. I'm afraid. But well, we're gonna survive. I still can't enter anything in here. That's strange. In real life you can put that in. And that used to work in the PMDG. Well, one more bug report. But we'll survive. Eventually. Somehow. So, quick check of the panel. Refueling is done, 5.6 tons. That can go on. So, flight level 340 and 300 feet. We have maintenance here as well, but we did check the secondary system, so that's fine. Initial climb in here, normally 5,000. We'll keep the brakes off for brake cooling. After all, it didn't really like our landing, so just about gonna keep it as well. Let's see what the MFRA is gonna be over here. Probably something rather high, like 1850 or so, I guess. 1000 AGL. So refueling is complete. At that point, the pilot monitoring would come back and we could start our briefing. So let's quickly load the latest flight in the Navigraph charts, and then we can actually go ahead with our briefing already. So let's see, we've probably got the Ori 6 Papa initially. Yep, Ori 6 Papa is what we have. And then our Bezi 6 November. Gotta love those Italian transitions over here. In the end, they're gonna give us radar vectors anyway, but we'll talk about that in a moment when we start our briefing. So then, threats for the departure. To be honest, we have the terrain in the north, but we're well familiar with that. We just briefed it on the way in, so there is not a lot to talk about there. So let's just go ahead then and let's have a look. By the way, Bootwin, a lot of sits and starts in Navigraph looks extensive and long, so you get a lot of shortcuts in real life, or do you most of the time fly all these sits and stars? To be honest, we pretty much fly shortcuts all the time. We hardly ever fly on the published procedures. On this one as well, they'll take you on that first left turn, so they'll take you over here, and then either make a left turn towards Abesi, or they might vector you somewhere like this. So that is what I would expect to happen in real life. Of course, we nonetheless brief the full procedure, because you might still fly it. But well, that's about it for the threats for this departure. Then let's go ahead and do a route check. So, going from Lima Mike Echo, Echo Delta Delta Kilo, Romeo 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot, and the routing takes us via Abesi, November 851 Rolsa, Zulu 162 Zurich East, Tango 163 Cobham, Tango 844 Askick, Tango 840 Gulco. And the ground distance on that one is going to be 427 versus 393. That's because they have runway 14 left, and here we've taken runway 24, which is quite a bit shorter. 3.2 remaining. 2.4 required for a diversion towards Frankfurt-Hahn. Then the UTC time is 1611, altimeter 1016, reading about 840. Flight directors are on with the master on my side, standby instrument set. Left seat takeoff, runway 28, flaps 5, noise abatement departure procedure number 1, and the emergencies straight at 4 miles, left onto Cazzo and pick up the hold over there. So straight at 4, left to there, and then we climb, I would say 5,000 feet is gonna keep us safe. They say MSA here is 12.4, but down to the south we really don't have all that high terrain. If we have a look on the radar vectoring chart, Bergamo up here, 4,000, 4,500, it's just over there. This one actually 3,000, so 4,000 is gonna keep us safe in case of the emergencies. Then pushback with the nose to the left-hand side, getting us out on Tango. We'll taxi all the way via Tango and Alpha for a full-length runway 28 departure. We have a threat over here in that the runway edge in darkness and bad visibility can look like the runway centerline due to the lighting being non-standard over there. So we got to be absolutely sure that we are going to align the airplane up on the runway centerline. Then looking at the SIDs, we have the Ori 6 Papa departure 10-3 Alpha effective 30th of December. And in the FMC over here, we have runway 28, Ori 6 Papa, Abesi 6 November. So Ori 6 Papa straight at 1180, left turn on 222 inbound Mike Echo 609, that one is above 4,000 feet. Then Mike Echo 611, maximum 210 knots. By the way, boot wind, that leads us to how you would handle SIDs with the speed restriction. So we'll show you on this one. And then we have 611 left turn towards Ori. Now we should be doing that at 067 inbound. The airplane currently does not have that in the database, so I'm happy to go in at a 043 as well. And that one's going to be above flight level 95, so let me put that in over here as well. From there we join the Abesi 6 November transition, that is on a chart 10-3 kilo, effective 30th of December. So where are we? We're coming from here, Ori. That is above flight level 95 as I've just inserted, 301 outbound, 10 miles towards 5 DME from Bergamo. That's got to be the Juliet point above level 125, then another 11 miles towards Adari above level 140, another 14 miles towards Nikmo. And then it's a right turn on to 329, 11 miles towards Abesi. And that one's either above 140 or 150, depending on zero QNH. I have no idea what zero QNH is, so let's take it above flight level 150. We're planned there at level 300 anyway. Stop climb, most likely going to be 5,000 feet, so I'm going to make that one hard in the FMC over here. And that's pretty much it. Do you have any questions on the departure briefing? No? Very good. So, yeah, just about... Are they still boarding the last passengers? Doesn't really look like it, but, well, I can't be bothered. In the meantime, what we can do is our onboard performance tool, so let's go ahead and deal with that. And here it is. So, reset current aircraft. Departure. We are now in Bergamo, runway 28. We'll take point Alpha figures on a wet runway, wind 020 at 5, temperature 13, 1022. Now that's not right. But hold on, this is indicating from 31st. Okay, that's not right. Let's see if we can get something better inside Flight Simulator. Because that meta definitely is incorrect. This one's better. That's from now. So 140 at 4, 15, 1015, optimum max 5, auto off. And that's interesting. It should have calculated the maximum performance restricted weight. Okay. Might probably have a problem in yeah, probably bugged. That's not a PMDG bug, by the way. Didn't reset the weight and balance either. Yeah. Oh, that's not good. And let's just about do this. Get the latest values. So, what are we showing with this? 175, 6, and 4. Let's put that into the PMDG. So we have 181. And then in the hold we have nothing. I kinda doubt that. But did they say we fly without cargo? 57.9. So Romeo Yankee Romeo 5 Foxtrot. I need a touchscreen for this. And that's me signing this. Go to OPT.
Soyez Captain. Have a nice flight.
Well, thank you for that. Even though I don't want to know what kind of accent they try to imitate here. 57.9 versus 56.3. Well, I rather believe this, so let's actually change this to 56.3. Not 100% accurate, but would be nice if it was. Okay, 56.3 versus 58.0. We're planned full, so lost a little bit of weight there. That's fine. 62 tons, and that's what we have in the taxi weight here as well. Why did it lose all those values now? I don't know. OPT is acting up a little bit here. So let's see. We have 62 tons. Calculate. 24K, 52 degrees. So 24K and 52 degrees. 89.9 versus 89.0. 15 degrees actually. Okay, so flap 5, the CG we'll just take from here, 5.6. And 5.6. In the meantime, starting APU. So, takeoff speeds, wet this time, 29, 38, 42. So, 29, 38, and 42. Alright. MFRA, 1782. And here we go. Alright. So I'll quickly say hello to the passengers and then we'll start with the checklist. Ladies and gentlemen, very good evening from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel, and in the name of Ryanair, welcome aboard our flight towards Cologne. Flight time today is calculated at 1 hour and 5 minutes, and we do expect a smooth flight at an altitude of 34,000 feet. Once we close the doors, the cabin crew are going to point out some of the safety features on board this Boeing 737-800 aircraft. I would like to ask you to pay your full attention, as that is not just for your own safety, but also for the safety of the people sitting around you. For now, thank you very much for watching, and we wish you a very nice flight. Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, einen schönen guten Tag aus dem Cockpit. Hier spricht Ihr Kapitän. Mein Name ist Emanuel und im Namen der Ryanair darf ich Sie ganz herzlich an Bord unseres Fluges nach Köln willkommen heißen. Erwartete Flugzeit heute 1 Stunde 5 Minuten mit einem ruhigen Flug in einer Höhe von 34.000 Fuß. Die Kabinenbesatzung wird in Kürze die Sicherheitseinweisungen starten. Wir bitten Sie dafür um Ihre volle Aufmerksamkeit, denn das dient nicht nur Ihrer eigenen Sicherheit, sondern auch der Sicherheit der Passagiere um Sie herum. In der Zwischenzeit vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit und wir wünschen Ihnen jetzt einen schönen Flug. Okay, then let's go ahead and brake set. Chocks can go. That should have maximized our brake cooling time over here. So, let's do the transit before start checklist. Gear pins. 1, 2, 3 removed. Oxygen, test 100%. Yaw damper on. So, for the fuel, we have 5,600 required, 5,600 exactly on board with 4 pumps. Fasten belts on, window heat on, air cannon pressed, back throttle bleeds on set, pressurization mode selector, auto, instruments, cross-checked, auto brakes, RTO, speed brake, down attempt, park and brake set, step-down cutout switch is normal. Radius radar and transponder, standby, rudder and aileron trims, 3 and 0. Takeoff briefing is discussed. PA, complete. FMC CDU, set, M1 and IS box, automatic, 24K reduced, speeds 29, 38, 42 set. Stop trim, 5.6 units set. Performance weight balance, sign send. Phones off, EFB, airplane mode stowed, flooded windows and cockpit door locked, holding at doors. So, why are they not closing the doors there? I guess I don't want to know. Well, doesn't matter. If they don't want to close them, then we'll do it ourselves. In the meantime, we do have some ATC over here. 126.75. So let's give them a call. Milano Bongiorno, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, information Sierra at Bergamo, stand 204, request startup and clearance to Cologne.
Ryanair 5 Fox, Milano Ciao, information Bravo current. You're clear to Cologne filed via the Ori 6 Papa departure, Abesi 6 November transition, runway 28, initially 6,000, squawk 1,000.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot is cleared to Cologne, Ori 6 Papa, Abesi 6 November, climb 6,000, squawk 1,000.
Ryanair 5 Fox, feedback is correct, push and start approved, QNH 1015.
Push and start approved, QNH 1017, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot.
5 Fox, confirm 1015.
QNH 1015, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot.
Dolomiti 340, descend 6,000 feet, QNH 1015.
Okay. So, QNH 1015 is in. 6,000 feet, squawk 1,000. And then we have runway 28, Ori 6 Papa, Abesi 6 November. That is pretty much what we needed, so we are good to go. Now the only question is, why does GSX not connect the pushback tug? Baggage loading in progress. Well, I doubt it. Reset position. Of course, quarter engine hasn't started, so we'll just about spend a long time waiting here. The Pieperich, thank you very much for the 11.99 donation. You missed the during the PA. Just kidding. Thanks for your great work here on YouTube for us. A little support for a Coke and a Mettbrötchen. Liebe Grüße, Pepe. Thank you so much, Pepe. That's really appreciated. So, GSX. Let's try that one again. I'll give it a bit of time acceleration now to get them go a little bit quicker.
Hello, Captain. We are ready for pushback.
No, you're not ready for pushback. The tuck is still standing over there. We have no pin connected.
Departure check completed. Bypass pin inserted.
There's the tuck.
Locking gear.
Dolomiti 340, new QNH format Delta 1014.
Okay, that's better. So, standard pushback facing to the east.
Release parking brakes.
Stand by. Before start checklist below the line. Air compacts off, anti-collision light on, parking brake set, transponder alt off, before start check is complete. Okay. Brakes off.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at wheel.
With master caution, air conditioning, dual bleed. That's normal. Why do I not see anything on the lower DU? Oh, because I've turned it off. Okay, that is an argument. T-Series fan, any chance you could do a Madeira Romeo 05 circling approach with a 737 in the future? Yeah, I'll think of it. Alright, so let's start engine number 2. And Sim737 pilot, I wonder if he ever slipped and said, and I'm a member of PMDG's tech team over the PA. No, but N2, all press N1. It did happen to me already. You know, I'm a first officer in real life, and it did happen to me already that I did a PA saying, yeah, this is your captain speaking, after flying Flight Simulator and streaming for 4 days in a row. And believe me, the captain's face, the captain's look was just unforgettable. So yeah, that happened to me already. We're all human after all, aren't we?
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. Even disconnected.
Okay, starting number 1. Start a cutout, monitor 2, 2, 4, 6, 3, 2 stable. Sim737 pilot, did you tell him you blame it on streaming? No, I didn't. We just didn't talk about it. He looked at me, that said it all, and that was the topic closed.
Unlocking gear. Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
Okay then.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
Clear disconnect, clear signal right hand side with a pin, and have a good day. Bye bye. Start a cutout. Monitor 1, 2, 4, 6, 3. Number 1 stable.
Confirm clear ILS Zulu 25 right.
So, where is handling agent? Over there. That high-vis is not really doing the job, is it? Like, he's hardly visible at all. He's showing us the pin right there? Yes, he is. Man, they need a bit better lights here in Bergamo. Flight control track. Up, down, left, right, and the rudders. Left and right. Before taxi checks. Generators on, APU off, start switches continuous, probe heat on, anti-ice off, air conditioning, PAX auto bleeds on, isolation off, auto, flaps, 5 required, 5 selected and the green light, stab trim, 5.6 units required set, start levers idle 10, flight controls checked, recall check before taxi checks complete. Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, request taxi.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, taxi holding point Alpha runway 28.
Taxi holding point Alpha runway 28, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot. Okay, that's just straight ahead. Okay. Brake is off, config. Checked. Let's see if it taxis better now. Yeah, that looks better. The paperage. Do you need to change or refill the hydraulic and oil quantities? Or yes, there is an option in the FMC that you can use in order to make the plane remember the values that it used on previous flights. So if you use that option, then you have to refill it. But I believe by default it's turned off, so you would consciously have to turn it on in order to actually have to use it. Okay. Let's do the before takeoff checklist down to the line. Config, check, flaps 5, green light, stab trim 5.6. Set, takeoff briefing, left seat takeoff, runway 28, flaps 5, noise abatement 1, and the sit straight at 1180, then a left turn out, climbing 6,000 feet, we're on the departure frequency already. Emergencies, straight ahead to 40 ME from Bergamo, then a left turn towards Cazzo, climbing 4,000 feet and hold over there. Do you have any questions? No? Very good. Cabin secure, before takeoff checklist complete down to the line. Wow, right now some working wipers would really be appreciated. It's a pity that Asobo hasn't bothered to implement proper wiper effects until now. The rain effects that you see in here are actually the standard Asobo effects that PMDG is using. And one would expect that Asobo would implement that stuff, but, well. Okay, that's the cut 2 and 3 holding point coming up there, but they don't use low visibility operations right now, so we can continue past that. All the way to holding point Alpha. Alpha to the left, Bravo to the... no, the other way around. Bravo to the left, Alpha to the right. Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, ready for departure.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, Milano, wind 140 degrees for north, runway 28 clear for takeoff.
Runway 28 clear for takeoff, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot. Okay, confirm the readback. Runway 28 clear for takeoff. So, before takeoff checks below the line. Cabin crew, seats for departure, please. MCP, set, transponder, Tara, strobe lights on, landing lights on, before takeoff checklist complete. So here comes the big threat now, to be sure to line up actually on the center line. Okay, the approach area is clear. because under low visibility conditions, the runway edge lights can really look like runway centerline lights here in Bergamo. So that is a big thing to be aware of when operating in this airport. You can kind of see that here, how that runway edge pretty much could look like the runway centerline. Okay, timing. Stabilized. Set takeoff thrust. Takeoff thrust set, indications normal. $80 knots, checked.
V1. Rotate. Positive rate of climb.
You're up.
Runner 5 Foxtrot identified, climb flight level 200, passing 4,000 feet, flight heading 270 to short.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, climb flight level 200, passing 4,000, turn right heading 270. Okay, I'll complete the turn manually and then we'll put the autopilot on. Monday. Fuck up. So, heading select. 270. That's exactly what I briefed early on, that they would turn us out here. Okay, flaps 1. Speed check flap 1. And flaps up. Speed check, flaps up. Set standard. Oh yeah, we had cleared up higher. Set. 200 checked. Flaps up, no lights. VNAV. And the after takeoff checklist. And we can accelerate. You know what? We're just gonna stay in 210 knots until we're above the MSA. Okay, so we'll keep the start switches and continues with that sound of the rain. So air conditioning and pressurization, we have 2.6 climbing and set. Altimeters, standard passing 66, climbing 200. After takeoff checklist is complete. Full climb thrust. It's not really turbulent, so let's release that cabin crew.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, direct at basic.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, direct up basic. Okay. Execute. Are not available. Oh no. Wonder why I don't see any terrain right now. There certainly should be some. There it is. Okay, above the MSA. Stand by altimeter standard. Well clear any terrain. The vertical situation display is really good tool there as well, showing you if there's anything in front of you. But look at this. We're already clear of anything in the next 40 miles. So, altimeters. Passing 106, climbing 200, 10 checks. Fuel balanced with 4 pumps on. Let me actually put some lights on. Lights are off, APU off, air cannon press, 4.0, climbing, and set. What's that doing up here? Cabin temperatures are fine. Fasten belts, we'll keep them for now. Recall checked and 1 to 1.5. Monitoring, 10 checks complete. Right, that looks good. So, lots of comment there. Jordan Collins, do the white...
Climb flight level 240, switch to Uniform 1 to do the simulate, ciao.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot, climb flight level 240, 122 decimal 8. Thank you very much. Kati Mille, ciao.
Ciao.
Okay, set. 240 checked. DNAV. Then, Luca, where did you download the Bergamo airport scenery? I got it from Aerosoft. The Paperlich, thank you very much for watching. See you later, hopefully. 737 pilot, I didn't hear any wheel noise or bumps leaving the runway. Yeah, I have FS Realistic disabled at the moment because it did cause some issues during testing. I wanted to install it again before the live stream, but I just about forgot it, so that's probably the reason why I didn't hear anything. I would personally love PMDG to implement those bumps when going over runway centerline lights, but I don't think it's possible to measure if you're going over them or not at the moment in the simulator. And of course in real life we consciously try to avoid going over them, exactly because that noise can frighten some passengers, because it can be rather loud in the cabin, especially in the 737. So, you know, that's why we're trying our best to actually avoid going through that. By the way, are we flying through clouds right now? Yeah, looks like it. In that case, let's put the engine ATIs on. Tie-tie. Then, Philip, why did you set 1,782 feet on the altimeter? Sorry, on the minimums. Don't you normally set the acceleration altitude that you know when to go buck up? Now, no, in my airline we set the engine out acceleration altitude, so the minimum flap retraction altitude, so that we know when we can retract the flaps in case of an engine failure scenario. Okay, engine ATIs off. And we can release the passengers as well. So, 340, planned cruise level, we'll go all the way up there. No sense going much higher today, I'll tell you why in a moment. So, set, 340 checked, and that is once, twice, and 3 times monitoring 1 to 1.5. So yeah, we use that for the MFRA, not for the acceleration altitude. I know some other companies are doing the other thing, but to be honest, with the acceleration it's rather easy to remember, if you ask me, versus the engine out acceleration altitude. So the MFRA is probably not so easy to remember, especially when you actually have the case that you have an engine out. Like, you're gonna experience that maybe once in your career, and if that happens exactly on takeoff, you know, you're really having a bad day then. So I honestly doubt that we are going to remember that in case you have an actual engine failure. That's why we set it using the minimum selector and not the normal acceleration altitude. And Sim 737 pilots, the MFRA for my operator is dynamically determined. It is going to be at least 1,000 feet above the aerodrome elevation, unless the terrain demands different. So for example, at my home base, if we depart on runway 32, then it is normally 1,000 feet above the airport elevation because you're flying out towards a flat terrain. But if you're departing on runway 14 towards the mountains, then it normally is somewhere around 16 to 1,800 feet, because you have some hills over there that you have to overclimb before you're allowed to go into that level segment for flat retraction. Goodwin, what does the buck up mean that you always say during climb? It means that we set the airspeed buck to the flap up position in order to accelerate and clean up our wing. That's what we do there. Nixish, I notice that when in LNAV the bank angle limiter does not limit the bank. Is that realistic to the 737? Yes, absolutely. The bank limiter is only going to work in heading select and localizer mode, or VOR mode, but LNAV actually got an automatic bank angle limiter. But what you will notice is that when you're flying up at cruise level, LNAV is often going to limit the bank to like 10 or 15 degrees as well. It's only when we go on a radar heading that the plane doesn't have the automatic bank angle limitation function, and that's why we set it to 10 degrees angle of bank when we're flying above flight level 300. Then, Mythic Sim Pilot, question on the runway about to take off. Did you use the screw click spot, or did you actually push the throttle all the way forward? Well, I have the toga click spot assigned through the settings in Flight Simulator, so I'm actually using a toga button on my joystick instead of using the click spot. But I would normally use the click spot on the MCP in case I did not have that toga click spot. But the PMDG 737's autopilot work with a lot of the default Microsoft Flight Simulator buttons, because PMDG intercepts them, reads them, and therefore makes it able to press the buttons on the MCP while triggering the default Flight Simulator autopilot event. So if you have an autopilot function assigned on your joystick, then you can operate the MCP through that. Of course, at this point, I'll just point out that none of the autopilot functions in here are the default Microsoft functions. They are all fully custom, but PMDG are intercepting those events when you are flying the 737. Bank angle 10, by the way, as we're climbing to level 300. So PMDG is intercepting those default commands, and they are then correctly forwarded to the 737's autopilot. And Sim 737 pilots, does the MFRA vary per operator? Yes, pretty much. There are different philosophies on what the minimum flap retraction altitude should be. So it can be as low as 800 feet legally, but my operator defaulted to 1,000 feet unless required higher, and there are some operators defaulting to 1,500 feet as well. But the legal minimum is 800, which a lot of airlines are using, and normally there is no boundary upwards. Flatterer, do you think the brake temp model needs some more tweaking? My steel brakes heat up way too much on a normal braking with reverse. Well, up until the last landing I did, so the landing on this live stream, I would have said no. But there is one point here. My airline doesn't have a brake temperature indicator, and the vast majority of airlines operating the 737 don't have one either. So for now, all my braking reference has actually been based, vertical speed by the way, approaching 1 to go. So all my brake temperature analysis, to call it that way, in the beta has been based on my experience with the real aircraft and how the brakes react after you did some strong braking. And I never had a problem with the brakes previously. Now on the last landing I did, in that I burst the tire for, in my opinion, no apparent reason, because I showed you guys the OPT. Even with max manual braking for the entire landing, I should not have blown a tire. And I made sure that I have been at maximum reverse thrust by the time I disengaged the auto brakes. So not 100% sure what went on there, but I am going to submit a report to PMDG to have that one analyzed, just to make sure that no new bug creeped in with the latest update. So I can't comment like 100% on that question, but I do believe that it is going to be re-evaluated. Then Bootwin, how do you clean up the MCP speed during a bug up? By pressing VNAV. Well, I guess with clean up you mean how do you return to normal operation, so to say. And that is when we have flaps up, no lights, and we are at 3,000 feet above the departure airfield elevation, then we just go to VNAV. VNAV, by the way, is the mandatory mode for climbs, except for the 3-2-1 rule in my airline. Okay, let's take a small shortcut here. Direct to Throttle. Often get that one in real life as well. And of course, Consat. A little bit of turbulence here that the autopilot is fighting right now. Philip, what do you think about the wind dynamics in Microsoft Flight Simulator? Just flew to Leeds yesterday and it literally blew my 737 from left to right, up and down, because the wind changes so many times. I'm sure you've seen my video why I love the new gust model. So in there I say a lot about why I actually like wind dynamics. However, it is true that in some cases, with real weather enabled, the wind gusts are coming at a rather high frequency. Now, I haven't personally had any issues with them so far. Even going into some gust 40 knot conditions, I never had any issues. But I have seen some videos of some people who got some, let's call it, very challenging conditions. Now, I'm not sure if real pilot in that conditions would have been able to fly the airplane, but I would assume so, because what I saw so far from many flight simulator streams is that most of the conditions, let's put it, while the wind hasn't been as bad as I've seen in some situations in real life, however, in most conditions that I've seen in flight simulator, the aircraft would have been flyable. And it actually was up to the pilot, who wasn't up to the task. Now that is of course nothing bad per se, because I'm very sure if we would put some private pilots who can perfectly fly at Cessna in a 737 with maximum crosswind, that wouldn't work either. So the gust model in Microsoft Flight Simulator got a lot more realistic with Sim Update 10, and it definitely requires more skill to fly in that now. I'm not saying that it is never overreacting, because in some situations it is, but the vast majority of situations that I've seen, I would say the aircraft would have been flyable if the pilot would have been up to the challenge. Which once again in no way is saying that that is anything bad about the sim pilot, because simulator pilots were just not used to such a gust depiction previously. Of course, there is still a little bit of room to make it better, that's totally out of question, but I wouldn't call it like totally bad like I know some people do. And even a 70-ton aircraft like a 737 can really be thrown up and down, left and right, because you're still moving in that air. And I wonder if it's any different on a heavy aircraft like a 747 or an A380. Well, on the A380 probably, because it just has that much lift, as the wings are designed for a bigger aircraft. Well, you get the idea. So overall, that can definitely happen, yes. Then Flytra, did PMDG add the new ground friction variables with this update? I'm not 100% sure. I will have to check. MPS Gaming, last weekend, 737-800 FMC, aircraft service base failure set to off, and also simulation off. I got no hydraulic pressure, I need to do a maintenance clear oil, and also press clear active. Is it normal failure? Well, that thing is incorporated in the panel state, so that is probably nothing that the service base failures have anything to do with, but it's a thing of the panel state. So it honestly shouldn't be a thing of the panel state if you ask me, so that's probably something PMDG could work on a bit. But then again, you know, I wouldn't call it like totally rubbish, if you know what I mean. Aviation KPHX, when will the EFB be released? I don't know, but the latest information we have on the EFB is that the EFB will go to the beta testers in like the next couple of days or so. So hopefully it's not going to be too long. Alright, so, told you earlier on that there is no sense climbing higher than 340 on this one. That's not only because of the winds, which are very nice over here, doing a ground speed of 477 knots while flying just Mach 0.72. But into Cologne, we have this lovely restriction of level 250 at UMDAS, which is, as you can see, 5,000 feet lower than what I would normally like to see. Volco 110 is correct. We are gonna delete this one. And that's pretty much it. Cook it, we'll make that 180 knots or less. So we'll be rather low on that profile as we come into Cologne today. Now, what that's gonna mean is quite simple. That we'll have quite a lengthy cruise segment of maybe 40-60 miles or something at flight level 240. Now, in real life, we just enter a new cruising altitude and then we can just start a new cruising phase. Before the recent update has been released, that was not possible in the PMDG because it would always just return to the descent phase once again. However, now it actually is possible. So that box has been fixed, which is really nice. So I'm going to show you that one on the way in when we reach the flight level 250 and then they clear you down to level 240, so I will show you that thing when we get there. By the way, I did notice that the airplane is wobbling up and down a little bit here. Question for me now is that due to turbulence or is that due to the autopilot messing up? Well, let's go ahead and find out, because I'll just put this one into control wheel steering. And that seems quite stable. Control column is moving a little bit, which it shouldn't, but overall, doesn't seem like we have any flight simulator induced turbulence right now. So back to autopilot, let's see what it's gonna do now. So I may or may not just have to resubmit a new bug report for that. I don't know, we'll see. In the meantime, let's go for another direct. Usually they clear you direct to UMDAS at this point, as we are just about to enter the airspace of Rhein-Räder. So let's go direct to UMDAS now. I'm really looking forward to see how the approach into Cologne is going to be like. because this is going to be a controller practical test, so the controller is undergoing his exam to earn the controller rating on VATSIM, and usually in controller practical tests they really follow the SOPs to like 100%, so I'm really looking forward to see what that's going to be like, and how close that is going to be to how they handle Cologne in real life. Anyway, let's go ahead and do a little bit of a setup here. We'll take runway 24, so that's going to be courses 243. Yeah, I'm a little bit familiar with the airport, as you can probably judge, so I'm actually not referencing charts right now. But I will be for the briefing. Boy, they really need to fix this. It takes so long to set the minimums. That's really the next big point that I personally would raise, but I did in the past already. Right, so just a small demonstration here. If you look at the 102-mile ring, you will see that in the optimum case we would start our descent just after UMDAS. Now, in real life they want you at level 250 at UMDAS. So that is really taking you low, and that is wasting so much fuel every time. We already have the Green Party in our government, and still that's not changing. I'm not going to go into politics here, but, you know, wasting so much fuel over the course of the day. Anyway, let's go for the briefing. Threats for the arrival, well, maybe air traffic control, since he's under an exam situation, so he might be a little bit stressed out. So we'll just carefully monitor what he's doing, and if he's giving us any clearance that we deem unsuitable, we're gonna tell him on the first possible opportunity. Apart from that, I don't really see any threats for our arrival. For the FMC then, we have 250 knots below flight level 100, forecast pitch is filled out, fixed range runway 24, 10 miles, 4 miles, and for the arrival we have the Gulco to Ford transition in, but in reality it's going to get radar vectors after Gulco. So let's have a look at that. Give me Cologne charts, please. I'll go straight into the briefing for the ILS approach for runway 24 over here. And, oops, didn't mean to do that. Please? Hello? There we go. Alright, so frequencies 109.1, courses 243, that is set on both sides. Going down to the minimum of 539, which is set on both sides as well. And we have our FAF at Phuket, 3,000 feet, 4.3 miles, 1630. That is actually in the FMC here as our Fox. And going down to the minimum, missed approach, 3.5 or 2,000, whichever is later. And then it's a right hand turn to Vipper climbing 5,000 feet, which matches with the chart as well. So let's set our level 250, then we'll start our descent momentarily. Before I continue the briefing, let's just quickly monitor how the airplane is actually going to perform with the start of the descent. So, reaching the TD any moment now. And down we go. It's calling me a retard once again. Well, my friend, I'm the one who's gonna land you, so be careful what you call me. That looked pretty well, I have to say. The speed stayed spot on, contrary to what happened on the previous flight. So probably the previous flight was the exception then. And this one worked fairly well. We are on path, we are descending. It did it pretty smoothly, so I would say spot on. Let's continue with the briefing then. For a diversion towards Han we need 2.4 and we have an arrival fuel of 3.1. That is 700 kilos extra, 20 minutes. We're going to burn 600, which is a landing weight of 59.4. And 59.4, let's have a look into our onboard performance tool and see what that is going to give us for the landing. So landing en route, Cologne, runway 24, 2.5. Well, let's actually take it wet. Wind 150 at 9. Temperature 12,1002. Flap 30 and we have 59,400. 5 knots addition. Wind is actually all cross. So, auto brake 3, 40 minutes brake cooling and 2,164. We have 2,459 available. That does sound good to me. We'll take it from there. So, flap 30 and auto brake 3. What we can try is... actually, let's try and see if the air traffic controllers on VATSIM know that. We'll go flap 40. And if we go flap 40, then we will probably be able to vacate the runway a little bit earlier. At least in real life we usually are. Then we can vacate via runway 32 left, and then taxi all the way 32 left, Bravo, up here to the gates. So landing on 24, 32 left, Bravo to the gates. Let's see if they know how to do that here on VATSIM. In real life we just ask the air traffic controllers, is runway 32 left available for taxi? In 99% of the cases we just get an affirm, and then they just let us backcheck the runway. That makes things quite a bit easier. So about to enter some clouds, engine anti-ice on. Tie. Right, before we are entering the next controller's airspace, which is going to be pretty soon, I'll quickly go to the lavatory, so I'll be straight back for you guys. Right, I'm back, and just in time for the contact meet seems. So let's give air traffic control a call here on 124.725.
This is 343, contact Maastricht 133.950, bye-bye. 133.950, hello, convert to position, have you not out? Tibet 226, descent flight level 250.
Langgrad hello, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, descend level 250 inbound on dust.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, Langradar, hello, radar, contact descent maintain flight level 250 for now, I call you for further descent.
Descent level 250, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot. Alright, so down we go. Aaron, does Virtual Performance Group support the 700? Yes, it does. But I believe it's in beta. And Viper MB, why so echoey? That is because my microphone is picking up the sound, and that's a little bit nasty. But the problem is, if I connect my headset now, then Microsoft Flight Simulator is probably going to crash because it doesn't like adding a new audio source while you're flying. So that's a little bit annoying, unfortunately. But I wouldn't really know how to change that, to be honest.
Boeing 672, London, hello, radar contact, report your request, cruising level. 612 Warthog, land at level 240 and expect rerouting.
Right, so here we are at level 250. So now comes what I told you about earlier. If we just put level 250 in now as a new cruise level, then it's going to go right back into the cruise phase. And we get a new top of descent over here as well. So I'll see if I can find a quick fix for the echoes with ATC, but I have a feeling if I'm gonna connect my headset now, then it's just gonna crash the simulator. Thank you very much, Asobo, for that lovely bug. So I'll have to see if and how I can actually find a solution to that issue.
226 is income, India, November, Kilo Alpha Mike.
Yeah, you guys say just don't plug the new headset in because, well, we know the issues, so unfortunately we'll just have to keep it like it is.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot descent at level 240.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot descent level 240.
Der wird Alpha Scope 2263.
2263.
Was doch eigentlich, sorry.
So we'll just about make that as a cruise descent. New level in, execute. Now it should give me 1,000 feet a minute. And it does, very good. So we have quite a bit of tailwind at the moment. And I know there are a couple of people saying that the airplane doesn't descend as good as it should. Now let's take the opportunity to quickly talk about that. In real life, when we're approaching with Gulko level 110 in, then we normally have the top of descent just about over Frankfurt. Now we have quite a bit of tailwind at the moment, 26 knots, so the top of descent is just prior to Frankfurt. Now that's about 10 miles here that we have prior. That's maybe a 5-mile difference to the real plane, but that is really guessing right now. So, if I do the mathematics in my head, 24 times 3 gives me 72 miles, plus another 5 for the wind over here, plus another, plus another 5 for the speed, plus 3 for the wind. So we end up at about 79 miles where we should have our top of descent. Now that Gulko 110 restriction here is kind of messing it over, that's why it says we have 170 to go, but let's say Gulko 110, so we have 13 to lose, which is 39 miles. And there is no speed restriction, so 39 miles plus the wind give me maybe 42 miles prior to Gulko. We should have our top of descent. Now that is indeed a little bit earlier than that. But overall, normally it works rather well. It's not perfect, that's for sure. But overall, it is quite okay. So, right now there is no sense asking them for descent, because of Frankfurt down below, they are not allowed to clear us down.
Gulko to Victor arrival.
Stop at 180, direct Gulko and Gulko Victor arrival.
Reset MCP altitude, we're gonna disregard that. We'll just about take it into speed intervent as well, as to avoid the energy compensation feature, reducing our airspeed. Because that's just how it is in Cologne. You get that descent really early, then you fly level for a long while, and then you really plunge down to make the level 110 by Gulko.
Good evening, Ryanair.
That's just how they do it over here.
City 196. City 106, Langen, hello, radar contact.
Langen Radar, wunderschönen guten Abend, Squad. T3 Charlie climbing flight level 140, passing flight level 126.
Sim 737 pilot, as I
Oh,
just
the
said,
T3
it's
Charlie Langen Radar, hello, radar
almost
contact.
impossible to turn him
Flight
down
level
because then
230.
I'm not hearing him anymore. I can turn him down a little bit, give me a second. But now chances are that I'm going to miss him,
5433, Langen Radar, hello, radar.
as I just explained. Jakob, thank you so much for the 27 SEK donation. Thank you so much.
So airnap stopping 100 confirm and normal rate of descent of 7 November.
Stop descent level 200.
And Aaron, yeah, it just is a dreaded bug that it crashes when you connect a new device. I would really hope Microsoft to fix that, but they don't, so at least they didn't until now. So I guess we'll just have to live with it for now, and have to live through that little ATC issue there. Is it any better now, by the way? I just really turned it down further, even though I can hardly hear him anymore now.
Radar 6833, Langen Radar, hello, radar contact. Condor 54 Whiskey, contact Maastricht 133, decimal 950.
So, overflying ass kick, that's pretty much shortly thereafter. We would normally get our descent.
Langen, hello, radar contact, flight level 280. That's level 280. You want to make the one to direct air,
Affirmed and clear level 2
Right. Did we read the descent checklist? I think we didn't, so... Pressurization, landlord 300, anti-ice, on, approach briefing fuel, discussed, ES and outbox, checked and set, descent checklist complete.
Okay, 1 Mike November, contact Langen Radar 135, decimal 650.
135, 650, American.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, descent flight level 180.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, descent flight level 180. Okay, set.
Stop climb flight level 170.
180 checked, and level change. 3000 high, so let's put 300 knots in here.
Boeing 672, contact Langen Radar 135, decimal 350 vorbei.
Okay, approaching the 3-2-1 rule. Let's go vertical speed minus 3000. And that's going back 245 knots.
With a 1279 alarm, hello, score 2030.
2000 to go, 2000 feet a minute. And I heard earlier on that he cleared someone to climb level 170, so there might potentially be traffic below us that's climbing. So that makes it even more important to follow that 3-2-1 rule accurately now.
Order 007, proceed direct Whiskey Yankee Papa, stop descent flight level 150.
Setting descent, stopping 150, level 007.
And for those of you asking, I'm flying on Watson there. And we have 1 to go, 1000 feet a minute. And for those of you asking if there's any reason why I'm saying the call sign first, well, according to the German AIP, you can place it both at the front or at the end of the call. It doesn't make a difference. The Germans apparently prefer it at the front, but, well.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot when ready, descent flight level 110 to reset Gulco.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot, we'll continue now, level 110, level at Gulco. Okay.
25 Alpha, climb, flight
Set.
level
110 checked, DNAV. And speed into vent, 300. So there's the aircraft going just behind us. But that's 5 miles, so we're clear of him.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot, cleared Gulco to Victor arrival.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot, confirm the arrival.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot, cleared Gulco to Victor arrival.
Ouch, never heard that one yet. Gulco to Victor, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot. I never, in my entire life, out of about 1,000 approaches, was actually cleared for a star in Cologne. So, Gulco to Victor. Let's see what that is. Come on, Navigraph. Not working, is it? Come on. Somebody doesn't want us to fly that arrival.
610, land radar, hello. Radar contact. Confirm flight level 350 is your cruising level.
Nope, not working. Are the others still working? No. It just totally hang itself up. Lovely. Well, let's use the FMC then. Don't intend to fly though. So Gulco to Victor. Gulco, Hoge to Victor. Nope, that looks shitty. Don't want to do that.
6471. Go. That is with Alpha to Clone Tower or to Lang Radar? Das ist mit Alpha, ja, wir sind eigentlich noch 5 Minuten bei mir.
We'll just tell ATC. Ryanair 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot will request runway 24 in Cologne. Any chance for the Gulco 24 transition?
Ryanair 4, 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot, stand by short. Ryanair 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot, contact Langen, 135 decimal 350.
135 decimal 35, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot, bye. Okay, so vertical speed 1000. Let's get that speed out. One to go. Long radar low, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot, information Delta, descending flight level 110 in Mount Gulco, request runway 24.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, long radar,
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot, expect ILS 24 and requests routing after Gulco.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot, maintain present heading for now, flight level 70.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot, maintain present heading, descend flight level 70. Okay, set. 70 checked, heading select, and level change. That sounds quite a bit better. Let's take 554 on top then. Really hard to understand him, is it? It's really quiet.
Say too far, they are now request here a second.
Now he's not allowed again.
4 on 5,000 feet.
We'll do it something like this.
Coolix 1.
Okay, let's do the 10 checks already. Fuel is balanced with 4 pumps on, the lights are going on. Oops, forgot the fasten belts. That would definitely be a reason to call the cabin crew now and tell them, like, we only have 10 minutes remaining, can you make it? Otherwise we just slow down now to the clean speed. So, fast mode on, recall.
140, Lufthansa 824.
Checked, and 21.5 deselected. Cabin crew, 10 minutes to landing. 10 checks complete. That was a little bit confusing. Like, we literally never fly stars in Cologne.
Descending level 70, November.
And Mythic Simpilot, yeah, you can always request vectors instead of stars. Let's expedite that descent a bit, getting a little high on profile here. Passing 10,000, 10 checks are complete already. I bet he's probably trying to put us behind this guy over here. Jacob. Once again, thank you so much for the 27 SEK donation. And you confirmed what I said, level 100,500 feet of PMDG, 1,350. Yeah, we exactly talked about it. Right now, getting about 2,000 with a speed brake. That, again, looks kind of fine. So, that's roughly what we get here.
Using 6 sub-2 turn, right heading. Right.
One to go.
Drive Pendular at 007 information Delta 125 descending 100. November,
Let's start bringing that speed back. If he's going realistic, then he can't clear us down just yet, but in a few more out so that we can get a continuous descent. And the reason he can't clear it down yet is the airspace structure around Cologne. It's really... Runner 5 Foxtrot, left heading 290, descent 5000, QNH 1002. Right, that's much better. So let's go back 250 knots. We want to get down after all. Update that once more.
Good evening, I'm Weather Lufthansa 85
just about to different vertical speeds.
170 direct 4
2000. We have 2 to go. I don't need any thrust, my friend.
Lufthansa 85, Yankee information Delta 1
So yeah, those altitude steps he's giving us are definitely realistic here. That's what I would expect in Cologne. 14,000 to go, 1,000 feet a minute. Let's do a frisk check. Frequencies 109.1, the rings around runway 24. 10-4, addons, ECOW, standby instruments, set and course is 243. Approach checklist, altimeter instruments, cross check, approach rates, check set. Approach checks complete.
Right, 5 Foxtrot, left heading 260, 3,000 feet, approach runway 24.
Runner 5 Foxtrot, left heading 260, descent 3000, clear dial runway 24, and say again the last part.
Right, 5 Foxtrot, left heading QNH 1002.
QNH 1002, Runner 5 Foxtrot. Okay, that looks good. Localizer alive. All accounts. 12 degrees, engine anti-ice off. Cabin crew, please take a seat for landing. Localizer capture. Runway heading 243. And within 17 miles, approach armed.
Climb to 140, you inside to Bravo.
Flaps 1.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, speed 1, or greater, descend EV.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, confirm 160 or greater until 7 DME.
Negative, Ryanair 5, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, 200 or greater until 10 DME.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, 200 or greater until 7 DME.
Your wings 672, speed 1,
no way.
Contact,
even with 30 knots of headwind, we can't do that. I'll have to tell him on able. But we have flight for capture, so 5,000 feet.
Like November, needs the altitude 3,000 QNH 1002.
3002 is November November.
Lauda Rush 007, that's what it is, that's good. Sending time for the 7007.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, unable for the speed restriction. We can give you a best of 180 knots until 7.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, let us copy the speed 160 for greater 7.
16 or greater will maintain 180 until 7 dB. Ryanair 5 Foxtrot. Come on. I don't want the thrust. Yeah, 200 until 7. That's just not possible. The limit in my airline is 200 knots at 10 miles, 190 at 9, 180 at 8, 170 until 7, and so on.
Yankee 70.
So, there is no way we can go 30 knots faster than that.
I recommend to confirm price and heading. I want to switch on the other.
There's one mic in November, but then
Price and heading, I'm not.
That's a good alpha, yep, sorry for that. It's was approved via Kilo Bravo Oscar Yankee Papa. Auf dem One-Mic, also November, sorry for the delay von meinem short left heading was 70 for the report.
Kein Problem, left on 70, für die Left on to left, das ist immer
Right, 5 Foxtrot, Takeoff, Tower, 124, that's 5 landing.
124 is 0975, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot. Ciao, good luck.
That's the Hotel Foxtrot contact, long radar 135, 165, 205. T-Time 65, Hotel Foxtrot.
Köln Tower Low, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, ILS 24.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, Tower.
Okay, that's the approach lights inside over there. Okay, we see the runway lights, we can definitely configure it for. I was a little bit afraid we might have to use IMC conditions, but we have everything inside, so ain't gonna be an issue.
Verstanden. Information Delta korrekt. Walk.
Right, gear down, flip 15. Landing checklist, start switches.
5 Foxtrot, in 1-5 to release 9 on us, converted for clear to land, runway 1 for right, available for taxi.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, runway 24 clear land, 1 for right, available for taxi. Okay, flaps 25. So let's do the landing checks again. Start switches, continuous, recall, checked. Speed brake, 1 green light, landing it down to green, hot brake 3 sets, holding it flaps, and flaps 40. So flaps 40, green lights, landing lights on, landing checks complete, crew seated, clear to land. So let's do a little bit of piloting stuff, because 2-4 can be interesting with some turbulence here, since we are flying over rather hilly terrain. 5 and continue. Let's just about see where the autopilot gets to this. Then we'll disconnect roundabout at the minimum, unless it's acting up.
100.
Check.
And 147H tower.
But so far it's looking good.
Minimums.
Continue. A little bit of turbulence here, but... Ooh.
Wind 17 Papa, wind 15 to release 9 on us, runway 1 for left.
50, 40, 30,
Staying 1
20,
for left, clear for takeoff.
10.
So far, so far.
Okay, speed break up. Thrust goes normal.
1 Mike November, expect that clearance, proceeding static.
Manual brakes. Let's see if you can brake that wheels once again. 60 knots. Could even have made Tango if you wanted to. But we'll vacate via the runway. That enables us to taxi at faster speeds as well. So that was quite a gust there when we vacated, when we turned off the autopilot.
Foxtrot, vacate 5 Tango 2 and contact ground 12175.
5 Tango 2, 121 decimal 725 Ryanair, 5 Foxtrot. Okay, Tango 2, that is unfortunate.
Proceeding departure airborne, then 15 degrees 900.
I kind of hope we could taxi to the end.
1 for left, get to land, remember. 5 direct.
Current ground, hello, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, vacating Tango 2.
Ryanair 5, Foxtrot, hello, taxi descent, Charlie 14.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, expect stand, Charlie 14, you have taxi routing for us?
Yeah, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, taxi via Tango and Bravo, on short of Alpha.
Tango Bravo, short Alpha, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot.
Building 672, continue taxi via Mike Orange.
Okay, we are clear right and clear left. I don't quite understand why we couldn't just vacate at the end, because that would have expedited our taxi, but, well, I guess Watson, they just want to get you off the runway as quick as possible, which doesn't always make sense, especially with a short runway here in Cologne, which is basically not used. But you just can't have it all, right? At least we didn't blow a tire this time. So, Bravo is to the right. Then hold throttle Alpha. That's the crossing taxiway after the FedEx building.
Nordic 77 November, ready for taxi.
We said expect Charlie 14, so we might just as well preset that already.
Stand by, Nordic 77.
In real life, you always get a follow me in Cologne. On VATSIM, unfortunately, you're not allowed to use those, so you have to live without.
Mike, after Ryanair passes behind, pushback approved, facing north.
After Ryanair passing behind, pushback is approved, facing north.
So that's the lights of Alpha over there, so we have to hold in front of that. Let's see if they simulate the construction site. If they do, we'd have to go via the orange line, so all the way outside. If they don't, we'll probably just get the blue line, which means we can cut a little bit into the gates over here.
Nordic 77 November, taxi holding point, runway 1 for left via orange line, officer.
So there should be some lights over here. Unfortunately, there aren't. So there should have been a stop bar here.
Current ground radar, jump on the mic
Yeah, we've got the 3 minutes, shutdown engine 2.
Hello, taxi standing Charlie 10 via Alpha, on short of Bravo. Charlie 10 via Alpha, holding short of Bravo,
Sim 737 pilot, yeah, I used flap 40 in order to,
After Norwegian, exit via Mike Orange, continue taxi via Mike Orange.
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot behind the Norwegian, continue via the orange line, Charlie 14. So, let's see where he comes. Should come out behind there any moment. Then, Cabanos. Why do they clear some people for runway 24 and others for runway 14 left? The reason is that Cologne simply uses the runways like this, because why should you fly all the way around for runway 14 left in our situation? Because that would have been an additional 5 minutes of flying time and we would literally gain nothing. So we could simply take runway 24, which is quicker. And they are using the crossing runways like that. That is entirely normal. And you're asking why do they clear some people for those runways? Now, in my opinion, the question should be why should they not clear people like that? Because, you know, it works and they have the runways. And Jeff, was this the last flight or are you doing another? I'm afraid it's been the last, because I will be working tomorrow.
Austrian 1 Mike November, continue taxi after Ryanair from the left.
So why is the Norwegian stopping there? Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, is the Norwegian gonna stop there or where's he going?
Ryanair 5 Foxtrot, the Norwegian will join Alpha 7, you may continue now and then left Mike Orange.
Roger, behind the Norwegian, left Mike Orange, Ryanair 5 Foxtrot. Okay, so we can go forward.
Ryanair coming from the left at Bravo. Austrian 1 Mike November, turn right on Bravo after Ryanair from the left.
Okay, so we can go forward until there.
Ryanair is coming from the left at Bravo. Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Where is that Austrian asking about us? Ah, over there. Okay, so he's behind us. We are behind the Norwegian. We'll just go up front to the red lights over there. That was an interesting braking there. By the way, that is really an inefficient use of a holding point. They might as well have sent the Norwegian to Alpha 5, which is just over here. Then the routing would have been clear for the inbound aircraft, for the Austrian and ourselves. In real life, they make that tactical use of the holding points in Cologne all the time.
Ryanair 2512, give way to inbound company, and then Austrian, and then taxi holding point 14 left via Orange line Alpha 7.
Yeah, because now they're building the traffic jam. Now they have another Ryanair that wants to go out from there.
Only 14 left Alpha 7.
They have ourselves and the Austrian who want to go in. And now they have those guys blocking themselves. That is also a reason to use runway 24 for landings, by the way. Because that means that aircraft won't have to wait so long at the holding point over here. Because you can line an airplane up as soon as the landing on runway 24 has crossed the crossing of the runway. Versus if you have a landing on runway 14 left, you have to wait until the aircraft actually landed, and only then you can line someone up.
Hello, Ladder 007. Ladder 007, hello, taxi stand Victor 530 via Delta and Tango.
Alright, so onto the orange line.
530 via Delta and Tango, Ladder 00.
This is Mike Center over here, and the orange is gonna be the next one. over here. In the sim it looks a little bit more like a red line, but in real life it is a bit more orange-ish. That Ryanair moving over there. Ryanair 5 Foxtrot Foxtrot, is that oncoming traffic moving there?
Ryanair 2512, hold position. You were supposed to give way to inbound traffic. Hold position 2512.
And there's one guy going around over here. Yep, he's going around. Okay, and now in real life we just get a follow me here, who would guide us over to the left side. In real life they've also drawn some lines over here recently. Now with the follow me you go across the apron and enter in here. And then Charlie 14 is just off to the right hand side there, like this. In real life things are so much easier because they have to use follow me's on this apron. That really makes life easy. At least for pilots. Not so much for air traffic control, I guess, who are still guiding the marshallers. But well. Okay, here we are. Started the APU a little bit late. But in real life, we would not have started the APU at all. We would simply have waited for the ground power unit here. However, we know that they take years and years to connect it, so that's why many people start the APU nevertheless. Alright, here we are. 2 blue, 1 red. And we gotta do the full shutdown.
Ryanair 2512, contact tower on 124, decimal minus 75. On the 4975, Ryanair 2512. Right.
Interesting also that they used Squawk 1000 on the way in, because Cologne is not equipped to handle 1000. Or it might be equipped, but certainly not certified for it. But well, welcome to VATSIM. Engines 1 and 2 below 20%, full shutdown checklist. Fuel pumps, 1 on, electrical is on the APU. I'll quickly get the deboarding going as well. They need ages anyway in GSX.
The boarding requested.
Electrical APU, fast modes off, window heat off, probe heat auto, NEI is off. Electric hydraulic pumps off, voice recorder auto, air complex off, engine bleeds on, APU bleed off. Exterior lights, logo and steady, start switches off, auto brake off, speed brake down to 10, flaps up and light, parking brake set, start levers cut off, weather radar off, transponder 2 on standby, CBRCB in, cockpit door unlocked, and that is the shutdown checklist complete. Right, so let's get that ground power unit. Just like in real life, they also take ages. But that is pretty much it. So, for now, thank you very much, guys. Let's see how they are gonna handle those passengers. You can see we've got the designated walking areas here. So they should be walking... Yeah, that's pretty much it. Very good. That's exactly where they would go. I'm impressed. Really positively impressed. That GSX profile here is really accurate. Alright, so, then let me quickly give you my feedback on the 737's autoflight system, which was the core of the update that's just been released today. And after that, I'm gonna answer a couple of the questions that just came in while I've been taxing in. So, autoflight system. Well, we saw that it had a little bit of issues, still wobbling up, a little bit up and down. Not so much on the first flight when we were in cruise, but on the second one it just went up and down. And when we went to control wheel steering, it didn't have that, so it was probably not the turbulence in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Even though, saying that, I know that the developer is going to disagree with me and is going to tell me, well, there has been turbulence, it's just been internal and wasn't even visible to you as the pilot. And that's one of the things that PMDG meant when talking about the overall turbulence model in Microsoft Flight Simulator, because that is really causing issues, and that you didn't even see the turbulence, but nonetheless, when you check internally, it's pretty surely going to be there, and interesting where the guys are walking from the back there. Anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much been that. Apart from that, overall it did a really good impression in that it did smooth turns, smooth climbs and descents. Now, the issue that Flight Deck to Sim found earlier today in his live stream, that the airplane would over and undershoot the speed by a couple of knots when changing. Yeah, probably not perfect. The real one does capture it maybe a knot or so better. That is absolutely true. And we'll see if something more can be done about that. Most certainly I'm gonna ask the developer and see what he has to say, and then we'll have to see what's gonna happen on that. Apart from that, it did a really good job. I'm really happy with that, and I would say that the new update is certainly bringing quite some improvements over the old features. Now, I would love to have shown you a little bit more on the auto throttle, but unfortunately we mostly saw the auto throttle acting up there today, at least in the scenarios where it had to reduce speeds. However, throughout the stream, well, the stream has even been running, already got a message from the developer saying that he is actively working on it right now. Funnily enough, it did actually not pop up during the beta test. I've flown 8 flights during the beta, and it didn't happen a single time. And I don't recall any reports from the other testers as well. So, I guess it's probably just one of those bad luck things. I really don't know. Anyway, overall, I have to say that a little bit more work has to go into some of the stuff that got updated. But overall, it does provide quite an interesting and nice package, with certainly a couple of improvements in there. I will have a couple of videos coming up, maybe tomorrow and the day thereafter, on some of the smaller details that have actually been changed, so stay tuned for that. And until then, that pretty much sums it up with this update. Now, let's go ahead and see a couple of the comments that you guys posted in the meantime. So, Generic Pilot 1, are you doing a flight in the A310 releasing next week? I probably will. I can't promise you when exactly that's gonna be though, because I will have my biannual simulator check ride coming up in 2 weeks' time, so I need to study a little bit for that as well. But if I can find a little bit of time to squeeze in and do a little bit of flying on the A310, then I definitely will, and you are for sure going to see it live on this channel eventually. Then, Far 8V. Any ETA on the PMDG 777? Unfortunately, nothing that I could share, sorry. Then, Mythic Sim Pilot, I would suggest you to use no toolbar handle add-on in order to get rid of the top white bar every time you move the mouse cursor. It messes up so many screenshots. That's actually a good suggestion, so let me just about copy that out, and I'm definitely going to download that one right after the live stream. So that's actually a very good point there, and a very good thing to do. So, KibiCaf TPA, thought I'd say hi and thanks. Watched your stuff 500 times, but first time I managed to catch it live. Well, judging from your name, you're probably American, I guess. And yeah, indeed, I should probably be running a little bit of stuff a little bit later, European time, so that you Americans have a bit better chance to actually catch it live. Always reminds me of the Boston to JFK video I did, where I actually came back home at 3 o'clock AM from work, and I was like, there's so much ATC online, I gotta record something. That was 3 AM, so yeah. I should be doing something a bit later, but it's a little bit difficult as a European as well. So, Elio, do you simulate flights with meld items? I don't think I've done that yet, but I think it actually sounds like a very good idea, so we'll probably do that next time. Let me write that one down in the suggestions, because I actually like the idea. So then I can probably show you a little bit of stuff about the MEL as well. Standby 1, just about writing that down. Alright. That one's saved. Then, LKN Fly 1, thanks for this flight. I wish convective severe up-downdrafts will be added in CBs and TS as dangers in the skies. Honestly, with Microsoft being Microsoft, and with all the issues they have when they implement new stuff, I'm not 100% sure if I want them to implement like severe up and down drafts. Cause they pretty much have severe stuff already without calling it like that. So I don't want to know what it's gonna look like when they actually start calling stuff like that. If you know what I mean. And it's your boy Noah. Is this Cyprus Paphos? No, it's not. It's Cologne Bonn, Germany. See it over here on the apron. Even though I'd much rather be in Cyprus now than in Cologne, but I guess I don't have a choice. I've been on holidays in Cyprus 2 weeks ago though. Really nice country. The ocean is amazing down there. 27 degrees of water temperature in late October. What else could you wish for? Alright, so that pretty much sums it up for today, guys. Now, let's shut the airplane down.
Do you want to deboard crew?
Yeah, well, we do want to deboard everyone. Cabin crew can go already, but
Crew
for the
deboarding
pilots,
starting.
we'll just about have to wait until the airplane is shut down. So let's just wait for the APU to shut down. In the meantime, we can start reading the secure checklist already. So, IRS mode selectors, off, cabin utility IFE, on, emergency exit lights, off, air compacts, off, trim air, off, waiting for APU and ground power. Takes about a minute for the APU to shut down due to the cooling cycle, and then we can shut down the power. Otherwise, the APU air inlet door is going to remain open, and especially during the COVID time, but also during autumn, usually, we saw birds nesting in the APU inlets already, so we definitely want to prevent that. That's the reason why we're just waiting a tiny bit before we actually shut the airplane down. Oh, Kevi, in Bad Godesberg geboren, but yes, from the US. Jacob, please get them to tune the flight model. Well, to be honest, as said, I'm not particularly unhappy with it. I know the points we talked about, but then again, you've also seen the video I sent you. And that it isn't entirely unrealistic. Alright, so, APU is shut down. Might just about need that. So, APU and ground power off, battery off, and that's the secure checklist complete. And here we are. So, the crew exit, walk over here, all the way over here, all the way across the terminal to the other side, and then you end up right in front of the train station. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed today, and as always, if you want to support the channel, you can do that by subscribing, leaving a comment on the videos if you like them, and tell me if you like the videos themselves. If you really want to support them, you can do so through the Buy Me a Coffee link that you can find in the video description below, or if you want to become a permanent supporter, you can use the Patreon link. For now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I hope to see you all again very soon. Until then, fly safe, enjoy the new update, and don't let that auto throttle kill you.